Chapter 1321. Speaking of which, Wei Zheng was quite pitiful recently. A while ago, he could still stay in the underground tunnel during the day and return to the surface at night. However, in recent days, the situation in the city had become more and more tense. He had to stay in the underground tunnel 24 hours a day, living a life without seeing the light of day. It was really depressing. What was worse was that Yi Fashion, Li Yu, and Yi Minglei's family also stayed in the underground tunnel yesterday. Wei Zheng suddenly felt that the air down there was more suffocating. At this moment, Wei Zheng felt a little dizzy. This old man was short of oxygen. Suddenly, he heard Feng Wu yelling at the entrance of the underground tunnel, which was the dry well in the yard. Wei Zheng was shocked at first, then he was furious. He walked to the well angrily and said righteously, "How dare you? You are greatly indebted to the country. How can you betray the country and join the enemy?" When he heard that Feng Wu had betrayed the country, the first thing that came to his mind was not to run for his life, but to persuade Feng Wu to change his ways. Lu Rongge, who was still on the surface, couldn't help but cover his face when he heard the terrible conversation. It was really shameful to have such a one-track mind as a subordinate. Helplessly, in order to prevent Feng Wu from making things worse, he had to quickly walk to the well and jump into it. Left Minister Wei, don't misunderstand. Don't listen to old Feng's nonsense. I will tell you the whole story. Before Feng Wu could continue, Lu Rengue came over and interrupted him. If old Feng was allowed to continue, wouldn't Wei Zheng treat his allies as his enemies? You? Are you Army Officer Lu? Wei Zheng's face was filled with shock because the person in front of him had a full beard and a hideous scar on his face. It was truly frightening. However, he still recognized Lu Rengue's voice and asked in surprise, "Well, yes, I am. I was worried that Registrar Wang would recognize me, so I disguised myself." Only then did Lu Rengue remember that his current face had been processed, so he quickly explained. "Huh." Xiao Yuer walked over and looked at him from head to toe. She couldn't help but laugh. "Brother Lu, you don't look like a soldier at all. You look like a bandit." "Huh, huh." Old Feng couldn't hold back his laughter and laughed out loud. Lu Rengue turned his head and stared at Old Feng. Old Feng was scared and covered his mouth. Lu Rengue glared at Old Feng and then turned to look at Wei Zheng. He told Wei Zheng everything that happened in the drill ground and how they were forced to join Huang Cheng's force. "Big brother Lu, wouldn't you all be in danger if your identities are exposed?" Yi Fashion, who also lived in the tunnel, asked worriedly after hearing Lu Rengue's explanation. Lu Rengue gave a relaxed smile and said, "Brother Yi, don't worry. Although the names we use are fake, the documents we carry are all signed by our provincial governor personally. No one will be able to see any flaws." Ancient travel permits and customs documents were similar to modern travel permits, not tourist visas. In different dynasties, they had different names. In the Han and Tang dynasties, they were called Guos. In the Yuan dynasty, they were called Wen Yin. In the Ming dynasty, they were called Lu. According to the ancient laws, residents who went out for business, travel, or visit relatives needed to check the pass. If they didn't have the pass, they would be arrested and punished. Even travelers who wanted to stay in hotels in other places needed to check the pass. During the Tang dynasty, the application process was very complicated. First of all, the applicant had to find a good guarantor and explain the purpose and time limit of the trip to the county government. After the county government received the application, they had to examine the applicant. Those who had not completed their term of service or had committed a crime were not allowed to apply for a transfer. After the county government checked and approved the application, it would be sent to the prefectural government for approval. After the prefectural government verified the application, the applicant could be granted the pass. Lu Rengue and his men lied that they were helping a boss in Bianzhou transport goods to Guangcheng County. Naturally, they had to show their pass, but they were backed by the Bianzhou provincial governor's manor. They had already prepared fake passes and identities before they came. How could the officials in Guangcheng County find out? The problem now is, if we work for Pan Jinhua, won't we be helping the evildoer? What's more, Pan Jinhua might lead his troops to attack Luoyang tomorrow. Do we really have to help him attack the city? Lu Ringue looked at Wei Zheng worriedly and said, "Ha! God bless Tang. God bless Tang." To everyone's surprise, Wei Zheng suddenly threw his head back and roared with laughter, completely out of character. Wei Zhuqing, are you okay? Lu Ringue thought that Wei Zheng had lost his mind after hearing the bad news. He quickly shook Wei Zheng's arm, trying to wake him up. "Ha! I'm fine. I'm fine." Wei Zheng looked at Lu Ringue with joy and said, "Adjunct Lu, now it's time for you to serve the imperial court in Tang. Now, that county deputy Yi is wanted by the entire city. We have one less channel to get information from the county government. But I never thought that you would have such an opportunity. This is a good opportunity, a great opportunity to sneak into the rebel army. Adjunct Lu, you and your men can not only pass on the rebel army's movements to me, but you can also unite the people in the rebel army who don't want to rebel against the imperial court. When the imperial court's army arrives, we can work together from the inside and outside. Even if the rebel army has a lot of people, they can be defeated in an instant." It had to be said that Wei Zheng was indeed a famous official. Other than being good at scolding people, he was also better than anyone in this underground tunnel in terms of strategy and calculation. A moment ago, it was still a dead end for them. But after he said that, he immediately revived the dead end. "I see. Wei Zhuqing is wise. I admire you." Lu Ringue's eyes lit up, but then he asked worriedly, "If Pan Jiyue sends troops to attack Luoyang tomorrow, what should we do?" Wei Zheng stroked his beard and suddenly smiled mysteriously. "Humph. They can't attack Luoyang tomorrow. Don't worry, Adjunct Lu. Now you have to hurry up and prepare, and then report to the state capital camp directly. Remember, you must be careful and don't expose yourselves." Lu Ringue was confused. He thought, why can't Pan Jiyue attack Luoyang tomorrow? But seeing that Wei Zheng didn't want to talk about it, he didn't ask further. He clasped his fist and bowed. "I'll be careful. Goodbye." After that, he left the underground tunnel with Feng Wu. "Adjunct Lu, why is Wei Zhuqing so sure that Pan Jiyue can't attack Luoyang tomorrow?" Old Feng climbed out of the dry well and asked with a confused face. "You're asking me? Who should I ask? And, Old Feng, why were you laughing just now?" Lu Ringue turned to look at Feng Wu and said in an unfriendly tone, well, Adjunct Lu, why don't I go down and stay for a while? It's cooler down there." Feng Wu swallowed his saliva and couldn't help but sneak his feet towards the mouth of the well. "Get back here. Go back to your room and pack up. We're going to the camp in a while." Lu Ringue knew that now wasn't the time to make a fuss. He said in a bad mood and then left. Oh. Old Feng was relieved and quickly followed him. "We're Adjunct Huang's soldiers. We're here to report." Although there was still a long time before the sky turned dark, Lu Ringue had already brought 200 men to report to the camp. The guards at the gate stopped them, and Lu Ringue explained to them. "What's your name?" A guard asked expressionlessly. "Sir, my name is Rindaniu. These people all came with me." Lu Ringue said with a flattering smile. Another guard next to him flipped open a booklet. After searching for a moment, he said, "Rindaniu, I've heard Adjunct Huang mention you guys. All of you belong to the 9th camp. Quickly go in and report to Lieutenant Ji of the 9th camp." Yes. Thank you. Lu Ringue cupped his fists and thanked him. Then, he led Old Feng and the others into the camp. In the early days of the Tang Dynasty, the army used the Fu army system. Based on the peasant households who used the equal field system, there were 634 military manors set up in the various Taoists, prefectures, and counties under the heavens, collectively known as the Zhuqiang manors. According to the size of the organization, they were divided into 3 ranks: upper, middle, and lower. The head of the manors was the Zhuqiang Duwei, primary 4th rank. The deputy heads were the Zhua and Yugui Duwei. Below the Duwei were the Zhangjun. Under the government, there were regiments, also known as battalions, with officers and captains. Under the regiments, there were squads with captains. Under the squads, there were squads with captains. Each battalion had 5 squads, and each squad led 3 groups. Chui Quan, who was at the pledging ceremony, was the commandant of the Zhicheng House in Zhengzhou. He was the highest military officer in this camp. Greetings, Officer Ji. After coming to the 9th camp, Lu Rengui finally saw the captain of the 9th camp, Ji Zhongxing, a middle-aged man with a small mustache and a cunning look. Oh, you are in Daniu? Not bad, not bad. Looks like you guys can fight. Not bad, not bad. In the future, you guys will be the 5th group of the 9th camp. You will be the commander of the 5th group. When you fight in the future, be brave. That will be good for you and good for me. Do you understand? Ji Zhongxing stood up and walked in front of Lu Rengui. He looked at him from head to toe and then shouted. Lu Rengui frowned inwardly. This officer Ji in front of him reeked of alcohol. It was obvious that he had drunk a lot before Lu Rengui arrived. Drinking was prohibited in the army. However, this person was an officer, and yet he dared to be so unscrupulous. From this, it could be seen how lax the military discipline of the Zhicheng House was. Thank you, officer, for your support. This lowly one knows many rich merchants in Bianzhou. In the future, I will definitely offer you 2 jars of pure immortal drunken wine as repayment for your support. Since this fellow liked to drink, Lu Reng and naturally had to cater to his taste. As for whether the military discipline was lax or not, what did it have to do with him? He couldn't wait for the entire camp to be lax and unorganized. Chapter 1322. Good, good, good. You're very good. When our army passes by Bian province in the future, you have to send your 2 jars of immortal drunken wine to me. Zhengzhou's Jiatsong Residence's camp. Lieutenant Ji of the 9th camp was immediately energized when he heard Lu Rengui mention immortal drunken wine. His eyes lit up as he looked at Lu Rengui with admiration. Although the immortal drunken wine was commonly seen in Chang and city, it was priceless in the local counties. Generally, only high-ranking officials and wealthy families had the right to enjoy it. Therefore, Officer Ji couldn't help but be tempted by it. Of course, I only hope that Lieutenant Ji can let us take a look at it when the time comes. I'm not afraid that you'll laugh at me, but I haven't seen my wife for almost 2 months after the curfew in Guan County. Lu Rengui said with a hoarse voice. This was where he was smart. If he blindly flattered Ji Zhongxing without asking for anything, it would be easy for Ji Zhongxing to feel that he had a bigger scheme in mind. Now that he made such a reasonable request, Ji Zhongxing felt that he could only flatter Ji Zhongxing because of Gun Yinji's family, but it wouldn't make things too difficult for Ji Zhongxing. Haha, small matter, small matter. Rindaniu, I've heard about your matter from the military governor. As long as the army passes by Bian province in the future, I'll give you half a day off to visit your family. Once you've made enough contributions, the military governor will let you go back. Ji Zhongxing patted Lu Rengui's shoulder and laughed. Lu Rengui cupped his hands and said, Hee. Thank you, Lieutenant Ji. However, my brothers and I have changed our minds. We won't leave even if we make great contributions. We want to follow behind the provincial governor to make contributions and be conferred the title of Marquis. We hope that Lieutenant Ji can guide us in the future. Ji Zhongxing burped and then gave a thumbs up. Huh, good job. You have the same thoughts as me. Why can't we be conferred the title of Marquis and enter the imperial court? Burp. Yes, Lieutenant Ji. Lu Rengui cupped his fists in response, then left the room. Just like that, they settled down in the camp of the House of Subjugation. But when he thought of Ji Zhongxing's words, we should be leaving the city tomorrow morning, Lu Rengui couldn't help but worry. Leaving the city meant going to war, and war meant going to war with allies. This was something he didn't want to see. After all, he was only pretending to surrender, not really. Dong dong dong. The next morning, at the first glimmer of dawn, the sound of drums could be heard in the camp of the House of Surrender. Then, the soldiers of the various camps began to shout, All soldiers, get up immediately and gather at the drill ground. Those who are not there in 15 minutes will be flogged 30 times. All soldiers, get up immediately and gather at the drill ground. Those who don't arrive within a quarter of an hour will be flogged 30 times. The soldiers in the tent immediately moved when they heard the sound. "Old Feng, go and wake the brothers up. Don't get beaten up later." Lu Ringu got up from the bed and quickly put on the armor that was given to him yesterday. Then, he shouted to Feng Wu, who was next to him. This was the quality of soldier. Compared to the people who had just joined the camp, Lu Ringui's group was undoubtedly much stronger. A quarter of an hour later, at the drill ground on the east side of the camp, the 50,000 new recruits who joined yesterday and the 20,000 veterans who were in the camp before this gathered here. Of course, there were also many who came late and were being beaten at the side. Since you're in the camp, all of you have to follow the rules. Whatever the higher-ups tell you to do, you have to do it. The next time there is someone who is late, the punishment will be doubled. The House of Subjugation's Lieutenant Shui, Quan, stood on the podium and said with a gloomy face, "The new soldiers were hard to lead." This was within his expectations. Although he didn't expect the new soldiers to have much fighting power, as soldiers, they had to listen to orders. The 70,000 soldiers on the drill ground suddenly became silent. Chui Quan paused for a moment and then said, "Generals of the various camps, today we are going to march into Luoyang. Let all your soldiers take their weapons and dry rations and immediately leave the city. Gather with the other two armies and go straight to Luoyang." "Yes, Lord Lieutenant." The entire camp immediately became lively. The sounds of weapons clashing, the shouts of the generals, and the noisy footsteps entered the ears. Half an hour later, all the soldiers were ready and the army headed straight for the south gate of Guangcheng County. On the way, they happened to meet the other armies that Shui Quan had mentioned. The Chui family originally had 250,000 soldiers. Yesterday, they had forcefully recruited a few middle-aged men. In total, they had 300,000 soldiers. Lu Rongui, who was advancing with the army, was secretly complaining. He thought to himself, "Didn't Wei Zheng say that the battle wouldn't start yesterday? Why is the army leaving the city now?" The city gates opened and the 300,000 soldiers left the city in succession. The villagers outside the city all made way when they saw them. But at this moment, the ground began to tremble. Outside the city, on both sides of the official road, countless black-armored cavalry suddenly rushed out. All of them were covered in thick armor. Even their heads were covered, only revealing pairs of cold eyes. They were like killing gods from the abyss of hell, holding Mo Deo in their hands as they rushed towards the army that had just left the city. "Kill!" The leading cavalry raised the Mo Deo in his hand and roared. Immediately, the cavalry rushed over at an even faster speed. "Ah, it's the Imperial Court's army. The Imperial Court's army is here. Quickly run. The Imperial Court's army is here. Quickly run." This cavalry formation was too powerful. Even from afar, one could feel the murderous aura emitted from their bodies. As for Zhengzhou's Zhucheng residence's troops, the ones who were walking in front as cannon fodder were all new recruits. Well, had they ever seen such a terrifying cavalry in their lives? Their survival instinct did not allow them to have the courage to raise their swords to fight. Instead, they directly ran away. Initially, Chui Junchuo's original intention was to use these new recruits who had no combat power as cannon fodder. After all, since ancient times, attacking a city required the sacrifice of human lives. However, Chui Junchuo did not expect that once the battle went south, the first to collapse and flee would be these new recruits with weak willpower and low military literacy. And their collapse would not only disrupt their formation, it would also greatly affect the morale of the army. Do not flee. Those who flee before battle will be killed without mercy. The generals of the various battalions were all veterans. When they saw the situation, they drew their swords from their waists and cut down a few fleeing soldiers as they roared loudly. But this did not stop the soldiers in front from fleeing. This was because the black armored cavalry brought even greater fear to them. If they were asked to fight, they would rather die. This was not an army of the human world. In the blink of an eye, the black armored cavalry had already charged into the midst of Zhucheng Residence's army. Puff, puff, puff. When wolves entered a flock of sheep, their war horses first sent countless soldiers flying. Then, with a swing of their swords, heads fell from the sky. To the black-armored cavalry, no one was a match for them. It was like chopping vegetables. They only needed to charge forward, swing their swords, and reap the lives. Spare me. Don't kill me. I don't want to rebel. Run, run. The soldiers in front of the troops turned around and desperately ran towards the city gate. They did not want to face this group of evil spirits. Zhechong Residence's army was instantly thrown into chaos. Black Armored Army? This is the Black Armored Army? Lu Ringui belonged to the 9th Battalion. His position was not very close to the front. When he saw the formation of the Black Armored Cavalry, he suddenly thought of something. His face was filled with disbelief. Old Feng, tell our men to retreat in the chaos. Don't fight with the Black Armored Army. Lu Ringui pulled Feng Wu over and whispered. Yes, Old Feng replied, and quickly went to pass down the order. Zhechang's commandant, Chui Quan, happened to be 30 feet away from the city gate. He sat on his warhorse and looked up. He could tell that the cavalry in front of him was the unparalleled Black Armored Army. He quickly exclaimed, Quick, Adjunct Wang, order all the soldiers to retreat immediately. Retreat into the city. Commandant, although these cavalrymen are fierce, there are at most 3,000 to 5,000 of them. We have more than 300,000 soldiers. What is there to be afraid of? Huang Cheng had never left Zhengzhou in his life. He did not know that they were facing the Black Armored Army. Therefore, he was very confused by Chui Quan's order. What do you know? They are the Black Armored Army. Retreat now. Chui Quan was not stupid. He knew that Li Shimin was able to defeat Wang Shichong's army of 100,000 with his 3,500 Black Armored Army. Even though he had 300,000 soldiers with him now, they were just small fries. The strength of these 300,000 soldiers was far inferior to Wang Shichong's army. How could they defeat the Black Armored Army? Therefore, after Chui Quan explained, he turned his horse around and galloped back into the city. Black Armored Army. They are the Black Armored Army. Huang Cheng's heart skipped a beat. Although he had never seen the Black Armored Army with his own eyes, how could he not have heard of them? At this moment, he was scared out of his wits. How would he dare to fight them? He quickly shouted at the messenger, Retreat, and took the lead to escape. Retreat, retreat. The Zhe Residence's army outside the city gate changed from the rear to the front and ran into the city. Not good. The city gate is about to close. Brothers, quick! When they were about 4 to 5 feet away from the city gate, Lu Rengui saw 2 soldiers starting to push the gate open. He quickly shouted at his brothers. Bang! 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 More than 200 men used all their strength and ran towards the city gate. At the last moment, they finally managed to rush into the city before the gate closed. The 1,000 soldiers who had not entered the city in time put down their weapons and knelt down to surrender when they saw that the city gate was closed. Chapter 1323. As soon as they left the city gates, they were chased back. Chui Quan ran back to the provincial governor's manor and reported the situation outside the city to Pan Jinyue. Pan Jinyue, Chui Junchuo, Zheng Shuwu, and Chui Wenji were drinking tea and discussing matters in the front hall of the provincial governor's manor. Although the 4 powers had formed an alliance, the follow-up plans still needed to be discussed. Hearing the shocking news, everyone in the front hall could not sit still. What? There are 3,000 black armored troops outside the city? How is that possible? Why would the black armored troops come to Zhengzhou? Could it be that Chang knows that we have mobilized? The old man next to Chui Junchuo, Zhang Shu, the great-grandfather of the Zheng family, exclaimed in surprise. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Guangqing County has been sealed for more than a month. Not even a bird has flown out, let alone a person. How could Chang have received the news? Chui Junchuo's face was as white as a sheet of paper as he spoke with a trembling voice. Since Chang doesn't know that we have mobilized, why would Li Shimin send the black armored troops to Zhengzhou? Junchuo, when you persuaded our Zheng family to join you, you promised me that we would be able to take down Luoyang before the imperial court could react. What about now? Zheng Shuwu said with an unfriendly expression. Chui Junchuo was instantly speechless. Chui Wenji could not stand it anymore. So he said, all right. Since it has already happened, what's the point of arguing about it? Now that our three families are in the same boat, once we are caught by the imperial court, none of us will be spared. Instead of arguing here, why don't we think of a plan to retreat? Chui Junchuo nodded. He looked at Zheng Shuwu and said, Wen Ji is right. Shu, it was indeed this old man who didn't consider this matter thoroughly. But the urgent matter at hand is that we should work together to defeat the enemy. Zheng Shuwu said with a dissatisfied expression, work together to retreat? What can we use to retreat? The black armored troops' combat power is unparalleled. How can we defend against them with just those newly recruited soldiers? Even if we are lucky enough to win, we will definitely suffer heavy casualties. When the time comes, how can we attack Luoyang with these defeated soldiers? A trace of anger flashed across Chui Junchuo's eyes as she said, the urgent matter at hand is to solve the problem, not to blame each other. If the Chui family is defeated, your Zheng family can forget about getting any benefits. Shu Wu, if you really want to defeat the enemy, then send out your Chui family's 30,000 secret guards as well. Our three families together have a total of 80,000 secret guards. Only then can we have the power to fight against the imperial court. Chui Junchuo, what do you mean? Are you blaming my Zheng family for not doing our best? Aren't the provisions and armors of 300,000 soldiers supported by our Zheng family? If you're thinking about my Zheng family shadow guards, then why are your Chui family shadow guards cowering in the back and not dare to make a move? Everyone is well aware of what you're planning. Stop pretending to be selfless. Hearing the hidden meaning in Chui Junchuo's words, Zheng Shuwu was instantly enraged. His Zheng family had been living well in Guan City, but after Chui Junchuo returned to Zhengzhou, the Zheng family was dragged into this mess. Now, if things went wrong, the entire Zheng family would be wiped out. How could Zheng Shuwu not be angry? Three Grand Dukes, we can't go through the south gate. Can we go to the other gates? Pan Jinyue interrupted. Yes. Then let's go to the east gate. They only have 3,000 cavalrymen. It's impossible for them to set up an ambush at every gate. Chui Junchuo suppressed her anger and ordered. When the other two old men heard this, they did not express any objections. Seeing this, Chui Quan bowed and said yes. Grand Duke, this general will lead the army out of the east gate and take a detour to attack Luoyang. With that, he cupped his fists and turned to leave. He was truly convinced by the quarrel between the three old men in the room. At this time, he felt a trace of regret for choosing to rebel with Pan Jinyue. The aristocratic families were already rotten. Half an hour later, Chui Quan reorganized the army and went out of the east gate of Guan City. However, as soon as he went out of the gate, he was stunned. He saw at least tens of thousands of soldiers waiting outside the city. Chui Quan, where are you? Quickly get off your horse and surrender. At this time, in the army camp outside the city, an old general came out and shouted at the army outside the city gate. So it's the pacifier. Sir, you are really fast. Chui Quan came out and was shocked when he saw the person. The person opposite him was the pacifier of Hunan province. Ren Kan Shui. Quan's heart sank. Ren Kan laughed and said, Hee, Chui Quan, His Majesty already knows that you want to rebel. He ordered this old man to lead the troops of 10 provinces to encircle and suppress you. Now that things have come to this, if you can put down your weapons and turn to the light, perhaps His Majesty will spare your lives. If you continue to follow behind the Chui family and do treacherous things, only death will await you. This official hopes that you will think carefully. As soon as these words were spoken, the soldiers in Zhengzhou were immediately thrown into chaos. The soldiers all panicked. Since ancient times, the common people had a natural fear of the imperial court. Now that they heard that the imperial court already knew that they were going to rebel and even sent a large army to encircle them, these people, especially the new recruits, immediately wanted to kneel down and surrender. Silence. Chui Quan saw that the morale of the army was in chaos and quickly shouted, Since you have joined the camp of the House of Subjugation, You have already betrayed the imperial court. If you fall into the hands of the imperial court, only death will await you. What you can do now is to resist with the Chui family to the end." After that, he looked at Rincan and said angrily, "The pacifier really has a good tongue. With just a few words, you have disturbed the morale of my army. If you have the guts, let's fight face to face." Rincan waved his hand and said, "This official is old and not good at fighting and killing. If Commandant Chui wants to lead the army into battle, this official's 100,000 soldiers are more than welcome to join." Kill, kill, kill. As soon as he finished speaking, the 100,000 soldiers behind Rincan shouted "kill" in unison. Their voices shook the sky, and their momentum was like a rainbow. Chui Quan's expression changed. After a long silence, he waved his hand and said, "Retreat. Return to the city. Adjunct Wang, lead 50,000 soldiers and guard the east gate." Yes, Chui Quan did not dare to take the risk. The soldiers led by Rincan were all seasoned soldiers. If they fought face to face, his 300,000 soldiers might not be able to win. He decided to send someone to the provincial governor's office to report the situation here. At the same time, he planned to lead the army to the west gate. There were people at the south and east gates, but there should not be anyone at the west gate, right? The gate opened and Chui Quan led the army out. However, the black mass of the army that greeted him made him feel a sense of despair. "Where is Chui Quan? Come out and answer me." An old general shouted at Chui Quan. "Who are you?" Chui Quan said coldly as he rode out. "I am the provincial governor of Sui Province, Wang Yu. I am here under the imperial order to encircle you rebels. Chui Quan, you are greatly favored by the emperor. You are the commandant of a province, but instead of serving the imperial court, you have joined the rebels. I advise you to abandon the darkness and join the light before it is too late to regret." Wang Yu shouted. "Wang Yu?" Chui Quan's heart sank. Sui Province was not far from Zhengzhou, but it was definitely not close. It would take at least 4 to 5 days to rush the army. However, Wang Yu was able to lead the army here. This meant that the imperial court had long been on guard against the Chui family's rebellion. At this moment, Chui Quan's heart sank completely. "Wang Yu, does your Wang family of Taiyuan really want to go against the 3 of us?" Chui Quan said unwillingly. He could not understand why the Wang family would be willing to be a dog of the imperial court when they were all from the same family. Wang Yu said indifferently, "Go against? This official's honor and disgrace were all bestowed by His Majesty. Since you want to rebel, you are going against me, Wang Yu." "There's nothing to say," Chui Quan said in exasperation. "Do you really think that you can stop me with just your army of tens of thousands?" "Then you can try, Commandant Chui." Wang Yui waved the sword in his hand and said with a murderous aura. Although he looked calm, he was actually panicking. He only had 20,000 some soldiers behind him. If they really fought, they were no match for Chui Quan's group. Chui Quan frowned, unable to understand where Wang Yu's confidence came from. He stretched out his hand and said, "All troops attack. Every person killed will be rewarded with 5 strings of cash. Those who refuse to fight will be killed without mercy. Charge! Kill!" At the eastern gate, Chui Quan had left 50,000 new soldiers behind to defend the city. Now he had 250,000 soldiers under his command. Most of them were veterans, and their military training was quite good. The moment Chui Quan gave the order, the 3 armies charged at Wang Yu's army. "Kill! The rebels might have the advantage in numbers, but our reinforcements will be here soon." Wang Yu braced himself and roared. The 2 armies quickly clashed. As the provincial governor of a province and the current head of the Wang family of Taiyuan, Wang Yu naturally would not personally charge into the fray. He was at the rear holding the fort. After seeing the situation on the battlefield, his face immediately darkened. In this situation, if reinforcements didn't arrive in half an hour, the 20,000-man army he brought with him would soon be wiped out. Bang! 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 "Provincial Governor Wang, I'm here to help you." Just as Wang Yu was feeling anxious, a cloud of dust suddenly rose from the south. Following that, a black mass of soldiers charged out of the dust. The old general in the lead roared, "Provincial Governor Zhao?" Wang Yu looked over and was instantly overjoyed. He hurriedly roared, "The provincial governor of Bianzhou has led his army to reinforce us. All soldiers, listen up. Attack Guanqing County and capture the rebels. Kill." Wang Yu's army's morale was high, but Cui Quan's army was panicking. "Retreat. Retreat into the city and defend the city gate." Cui Quan looked toward the east and estimated that there were at least 70,000-80,000 reinforcements. At this point, the only 3 city gates of Guanqing County were blocked by the Imperial Court Army. Cui Junchuo's plan to attack Luoyang was officially declared a failure. Chapter 1324. Guanqing County was surrounded on 3 sides, and Cui Quan's army had lost 2 battles, losing over 6,000 soldiers. Cui Quan left behind 150,000 soldiers to guard the 3 city gates, while the rest stayed within the city to maintain order. Arriving at the provincial governor's manor, Cui Quan told Cui Junchuo and the rest about the situation outside the city. The few of them were shocked, and Cui Junchuo's face was as white as paper. "How is that possible? According to what you said, there are over 100,000 soldiers outside the city, and there are even soldiers that Wang Yu brought from Sui province. Doesn't that mean that the imperial court already knew that we were going to attack? But Guanqing County had sealed the city gates for over a month, so how did the news get out?" Zheng Shuwu's face was dejected as he muttered, "It's over. It's all over. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have listened to your slanderous words. Now that Guanqing County is surrounded by the army, what should we do?" Cui Junchuo looked at Zheng Shuo coldly and opened his mouth, but he did not say anything. At this time, he did not have the mood to argue. Cui Wenji was the oldest out of the 3, but because he took good care of himself, his body was the best. He stroked his beard and pondered for a moment before saying, "Now is not the time of life and death. There are only 100,000 soldiers outside the city, and we have 300,000. Furthermore, our Cui family and Xingyang family have not gone all out, and we can still mobilize 50,000 hidden guards and thousands of death warriors. Furthermore, our consecrators have not made a move, and with their martial arts, they can fight against 100. When the time comes, we can attack from the inside and outside, and we can definitely kill our way out. But at that time, Li Shimin will definitely not let us go. But our families can go to the Turks or live in seclusion in Southeast Asia, and when the time is right, we can return to the Central Plains." Hearing that, Cui Junchuo and Zheng Shuo's eyes lit up, and Zheng Shuo hurriedly said, "Then in Brother Cui's opinion, what should we do now?" Cui Wenji muttered, "The 2 of us will send a messenger pigeon to mobilize the hidden guards outside, and let them rush to Zhengzhou as soon as possible. When the time comes, we will wait for the opportunity to make a move. During this time, we just need to be careful of the army outside the city. Our army might not be able to defeat them outside, but we can defend the city. With the city walls as our backing, the hundreds of thousands of soldiers outside won't be able to break into the city. Yes. Let's defend the city first. When the reinforcements arrive, we'll launch a pincer attack and kill our way out. Didn't they recruit a bunch of new soldiers? Let them guard the city gates. Even if the imperial court's army attacks the city, the casualties won't be our people. In the future, with the strength of our clans, where can't we dominate?" Zheng Shuo nodded as he listened. Cui Junchuo also felt that it was reasonable. He turned to look at Pan Jinyue and ordered, "Jinyue, send the new army to defend the city. The old soldiers will supervise from the side and enforce martial law in the city. Strictly forbid the citizens from gathering and causing trouble. Let all the retainers of the Cui residents come to the various commoners' square regularly to give lectures to pacify the citizens and encourage them to help us defend the city. Increase the patrols and prevent anyone from inciting the people to defect to the imperial court." "Yes, Taigong. I'll make the arrangements right away." Pan Jinyue cupped his hands and left with Cui Quan. "Hey, join the army." As expected, the army didn't attack Luoyang today. Wei's witching is really good at foresight. Tell me, how did he know that the black armored army and the pacifier would lead the army here today? Does Wei's witching, that old man, know how to calculate? Guangxing County, East City Gate. Lu Ringue and his group were standing on top of the city walls to defend the city. Seeing that there were no outsiders around, Old Phone whispered excitedly. Lu Ringue faintly said, "Misty, you must have used the telegraph to send a message to Chang that day. The Black Armored Army's combat power is unparalleled, and their speed is astonishing. From Chang into Zhengzhou, they can reach there in less than 2 days." Minister Wei must have calculated the time in private. As for the pacifier, it shouldn't be hard for him to gather 100,000 soldiers in 2 days. Oh, I thought Wei's witching was an old immortal who could foresee things. Feng Wu scratched his head and muttered, "Sigh, join the army. I just heard that Shui Quan's army met Wang Yu, the provincial governor of Suizhou, and our provincial governor's army at the West City Gate. After a bloody battle, Shui Quan left behind 6,000 corpses and fled back into the city. Wang Yu? Suizhou is more than 400 miles away from Zhengzhou. Why would he appear in Zhengzhou now?" Lu Ringue was puzzled. After a moment of silence, he said, "Guangxing County is surrounded by Guangxing County. The Chui family can either go out of the city and fight a bloody way out, or stay in the city and wait for the reinforcements of the Chui family of Bowling and the Zheng family of Xingyang. But in my opinion, the possibility of them choosing the latter is higher. So before their reinforcements arrive, we must find a way to get in touch with the army outside the city. Otherwise, the Chui family may really escape this time. I'll find a way to go back tonight and discuss with Wei's witching. You help me cover it up." Feng Wu nodded and said, "Don't worry. Join the army. It's cold at night. I don't think anyone will come to patrol. Just go. Outside the city." The black armored troops and the provincial government's army had already set up their tents and started cooking. Apparently, they were planning to set up camp outside the city, south of the city in the central tent. "General Duan, now that Guangxing County is surrounded by us from 3 sides, the rebels will not be able to escape even if they have wings. When do you plan to attack the city?" Ren can also came to the central tent of the black armored troops. At this time, he looked at Duan Jishuan and asked. Even though he was a pacifying ambassador, he did not dare to be negligent in front of Duan Jishuan. Duan Jishuan was also involved in the Black Tortoise Gate incident. He was a real hero. Duan Jishuan picked up the teacup and took a sip. He then pondered for a moment and said, "We only have 150,000 soldiers. Although we are not afraid of the Chui family's army in the open, if we want to attack the city with this small number of people, it is no different from wishful thinking. Moreover, the black armored troops are only good at fighting in the open. They are not good at attacking the city. So, let's just surround the city first. In 2 days, General Li's army will arrive. At that time, we will discuss attacking the city." That's the best." Ren Kan and Wang Yu both nodded. It was a moonless night. On the other hand, Guangxing County's Chung Tower was filled with torches. Although under normal circumstances, no one would attack the city at night, there were still many soldiers guarding the tower. Lu Ringue used the excuse of going to the toilet to sneak away. Along the way, he avoided the patrolling soldiers and finally came to the house in Wuning Lane. "Is Lu Ringue back?" At this time, Wei Zheng and the others were still awake. Wei Zheng asked softly when he heard some movement from the well. It's me. Lu Ringue answered and quickly walked over. At this time, a weak candlelight was lit in the tunnel. Lu Ringue looked at everyone excitedly and said, "Good news. Good news. In a few more days, you won't have to hide in this tunnel anymore." Li Yu's eyes lit up when she heard that. She asked, "Brother Lu, are the reinforcements here?" Girls love to be clean. Ever since she moved into this tunnel, she had not taken a bath for a few days. She was very uncomfortable. Moreover, the tunnel was not very ventilated. With so many people living here, the smell was naturally unpleasant. She had had enough of this place. Lu Ringue looked at little Yu with admiration and said, "Miss Li Yu is right. The reinforcements sent by the imperial court have arrived." 3,000 black armored troops, 130,000 soldiers from the Hunan province pacifier, and 20,000 soldiers from the provincial governor of Sui province, Wang Yu, have surrounded Guanqing County. When the army outside the city breaks into the city, you'll be saved. Ah, that's great. That's great. Finally, the army is here. We can finally see the light of day again. Little Yu cheered when she heard that. Wei Jing shook his head and said, "It's too early to say that. The army outside the city will not be able to break into the city. We have to wait for the reinforcements to arrive." Reinforcements? How can Wei Wuqing be so sure that there will be reinforcements? Lu Ringgui was puzzled. They had returned after sending the information to the imperial court at Songhua Temple. As for how the imperial court had arranged it, they had no idea. Wei Zheng smiled and said, "Duan Jishuan's black armored troops are very mobile and fast. They are very suitable to be the vanguard. Since His Majesty has sent the black armored troops to be the vanguard, he will definitely send reinforcements. Let's wait." Wang Yu's appearance means that His Majesty has already taken precautions against the Chui family. In this battle, the army sent by the imperial court cannot be underestimated. The Chui family cannot win. Wei Wuqing is right. Lu Ringgui nodded thoughtfully. Little Yu said, "Wei Wuqing, since we have reinforcements behind us, do you think the Chui family will have reinforcements outside the city?" Wei Zheng's eyes darkened when he heard that. After a while, he looked at Lu Ringgui and said, "You have to ask Lu Ringgui this question." Lu Ringgui quickly cupped his hands and said, "I think the Chui family will definitely have reinforcements." "Why do you say so?" Wei Wuqing, as far as I know, the 300,000 soldiers in the city, other than the young men recruited in the past few months, the rest are the state soldiers and the secret guards raised by the Chui family. The Chui family of Bowling and the Zheng family of Xingyang did not send out a single soldier. Therefore, I guess that they must have some forces outside the city that they can mobilize. And today, they chose to guard the city instead of going out to fight. This confirms my guess. Lu Ringgui cupped his hands and replied. The atmosphere in the tunnel became solemn again. Wei Zheng stroked his beard and said in a deep voice, "Now, it depends on which side's reinforcements arrive first. If the Chui family's reinforcements arrive first, they will definitely go out to patrol the city. The situation will not be good if they are attacked from both sides." Chapter 1325. Brother Lu, where are the reinforcements of the Zheng family and the Chui family? Are they far from Guanqing? Inside the tunnel of Lu Ringui's rented house in Wanning Square. Little Yu asked after listening to Wei Zheng's analysis. Lu Ringui shook his head and said, "I don't know. Logically speaking, the Chui family's army should be in Dingzhou, and the Zheng family's army should be in Guanqing. But since they decided to betray the imperial court with the Chui family of Qinghe, they must have set up an ambush in a county adjacent to Zhengzhou. We just don't know which county they are in." Yi Fashion frowned and said, "According to the time, the imperial court's army will need at least 2 more days to reach Guan City. As for the Zheng and Chui family's reinforcements, if Brother Lu's analysis is correct and they are hiding in a county near Zhengzhou, then their reinforcements will definitely reach Guan City first. Then what should we do?" Little Yu was anxious. Lu Ringu was suddenly asked, "I wonder if the imperial court will bring along a telegraph machine with them when they send reinforcements." Little Yu's eyes lit up and said, "We'll know if we try. The army must be closer to us than we are to Chang'an. Maybe we can send a message without going to Songhua Pagoda?" "That's right. Then Miss Li Yu, try using the telegraph machine." "No, using the telegraph machine underground will be very difficult to send messages. We should at least go to the surface." Li Yu shook her head. Lu Ringgui thought for a while and said, "The Chui family and the government are busy dealing with the army outside the city. They shouldn't be able to send people to patrol the houses. Also, Su Fangzheng of Wanning Square knows that we have joined the army, so there must be no one in the house. Once the gate is locked, normal people won't be able to break in. So why don't you all disguise yourselves and stay in the backyard? But don't light candles at night, and don't go out during the day." Wei Jing frowned and said, "No, If we all stay there, there will be too many targets. Once someone breaks in, we won't even be able to hide. Let Miss Liu stay there alone. She needs to keep in touch with the army. Also, if someone breaks in, she can hide easily. Although he also wanted to stay there, he didn't want to give himself away at such a crucial moment. Yes, indeed, we should focus on the big picture. Yi Minglei nodded in agreement. Seeing this, Lu Ringue could only say, "Then, Miss Liu, you can bring your telegraph machine to the attic in the backyard. If the imperial court or the reinforcements send a telegram, you will know in time." Little Fishy pouted and shook her head. No, no, no. I'm alone. I'm not even allowed to light up at night. How would I dare to stay? Why don't you let Auntie Yi stay with me? She did want Yi Fashion to go up, but this was such a big backyard. How could a man and a woman live together? Therefore, Liu thought about it seriously and decided to invite Yi Minglei's wife to accompany her. Madame Yi looked at Yi Minglei and saw him nod. She smiled and said, "All right then. Since that's the case, I'll go up and stay with Miss Liu for a few days." After that, Liu, Madame Yi, and Lu Ringue took the telegraph and climbed to the ground. Then, the three of them walked toward the backyard. Beep, beep, beep. 15 minutes later, in the attic in the backyard, there was a soft beep sound. In the house, Liu used the weak candlelight to control the telegraph machine to send out a message. In order to prevent the candlelight from leaking out, she was surrounded by a screen. All right, I've sent it out. Let's see if anyone can receive and reply to me. After a while, Liu clapped her hands and said. Lu Ringue nodded and said, "Then we'll wait." Liu took the opportunity to ask, "Brother Liu, how are you doing in the military camp? Did anyone from the higher-ups make things difficult for you?" Lu Ringue shook his head and smiled. "No, the lieutenant in our camp is a drunkard. I promised him 2 jars of immortal drunken wine. He treats me like a brother. Why would he make things difficult for me? Immortal drunken wine? Where can we get immortal drunken wine at this time? If I was in Chang'an, I could get some for Brother Liu. But now, I'm in charge of the city." Little Fishy frowned and said in a dilemma. Lu Ringue smiled. "It's fine. I guess that lieutenant won't have the fortune to drink a sip of immortal drunken wine in his life." Hundreds of miles away, on an empty field, there were countless tents of various sizes. The campfire in the camp was brightly lit. There were also groups of soldiers patrolling the camp. Beep, beep, beep. Did Little Fishy send a message? Meng Wenhao reacted immediately. He quickly took out a pen and paper and laid on the ground to record. After a while, the beep stopped. Iron Egg asked curiously, "Wenhao, what did the message say?" To prevent more people from knowing about the telegraph machine, he, Meng Wenhao, and Pang Feiji stayed in a tent alone. At this time, Meng Wenhao had already translated the code. He looked up and said, "Nothing. This is just a test code sent by Little Fishy. She's not sure if I can receive her message. Wenhao, you should reply quickly." Iron Egg said hurriedly. "Okay." Meng Wenhao nodded and pressed the handle of the telegraph machine to reply the message. Beep, beep, beep. On the other side, Little Fishy was chatting with Lu Ringue about the battle during the day. Suddenly, the telegraph machine rang. "It's here. There's a reply." Little Fishy exclaimed and quickly recorded the message. After a while, she stood up and said, "Brother Liu, it's the reinforcements sent by the imperial court. They are now 30 miles east of Luoyang in the wilderness. They should be about 100 miles away from us. The general manager this time is Duke Wei Li Jing." Lu Ringue heard and frowned. Duke Wei is leading the army? 100 miles? If that's the case, it's hard to say who will be the first to arrive. How about this? Miss Liu, you send the situation of Guangxing County and the deployment of the troops. The decision will be up to General Manager Li. Okay. Liu thought for a while and started to send a message. She had a preliminary understanding of the situation in Guangxing County from the conversation with Lu Ringue. Outside Luoyang, Tang Army Camp. This time, there was a very long beep, 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 beep. Meng Wenhao's hands were almost sore from recording the code. After a full 15 minutes, the telegraph machine finally stopped beeping. Next was the translation. Fortunately, Meng Wenhao had already memorized the code book, so the translation didn't take much time. Wenhao, how is it? How's the situation in Guanqing County? Iron Egg saw Meng Wenhao's work and quickly came over to ask. Meng Wenhao frowned. It's a long story, and the military situation is urgent. Let's meet General Manager Li together and report to him as soon as possible. Okay. After a while, Iron Egg and Meng Wenhao came to the command tent. After reporting, they met Li Jing. Qin Xiong, Cheng Yaojin, and Niu Jinda were also in the tent. They were probably having a meeting. Greetings, General Manager Li and the generals. Iron Egg and Meng Wenhao bowed. Li Jing nodded and said, There's no need to be polite. Meng Wenhao, I heard that you have urgent military matters to discuss with me? Yes, General Manager Li. This is the information that was just sent from Guanqing County. Meng Wenhao took out the translated message and raised it above his head as he replied. Oh, let me take a look. Li Jing's expression changed as he walked down and took the message from Meng Wenhao. The other 3 old generals in the tent also cast their gazes on Li Jing. Medicine Master, what is written on it? Why are you looking at it for so long? A moment later, Cheng Yaojin asked impatiently. Li Jing passed the message to Cheng Yaojin and said, The Chui family in Guanqing County has gathered 300,000 troops and is preparing to attack Luoyang. Luckily, the Black Armored Army, Ren Kan, and Wang Yu's 150,000 troops arrived in time and killed the rebels back into the city. However, according to the Bian Province Army hidden in the city, the Chui family of Bowling and the Zheng family of Xinjiang definitely have reinforcements outside the city. If we don't want the Chui family to escape, then we have to reach Guanqing before the reinforcements arrive. Qin Xiong stroked his beard and said, Since that's the case, then let's march through the night. Li Jing thought for a moment and looked at Iron Egg and Meng Wenhao. Iron Egg, you and Wenhao go up to the Celestial Lamp and send information to Guanqing. Say that we will definitely reach Guanqing before dark tomorrow. Then send a message to Chang and inform His Majesty about the situation here. Also say that we plan to change the route of the army and merge the 3 armies into one to head straight for Guanqing. Lier had told him before he left that although he would not interfere with his battle plans, he hoped that he could send the situation of the battlefield to the imperial court regularly. The 2 fellows quickly cupped their fists and said, Yes. General Manager. Li Jing looked at the 3 generals in the tent and said, Jijia, Shubao, Jinda, we originally planned to split into 3 groups to enter Zhengzhou tomorrow. However, the situation is urgent and the Chui family is hiding in Guanqing waiting for reinforcements. We have to merge our forces and move out immediately. We have to rush to Guanqing before the reinforcements of the Chui and Zheng families arrive. This time, we will surround them and attack the reinforcements. We will wipe out all the hidden powers of these 3 families. Good. Then I, Old Cheng, will go clean up the army and set off immediately. Cheng Yaojin was instantly energized and hollered loudly. Speaking of which, his horse Lance was already thirsty and could not take this chance to see some blood. Qin Xiong and Niu Jinda also cupped their fists and left. Half an hour later, all the tents were kept and the 60,000 troops were gathered. Then, they all held torches and started their rapid march. They traveled through the night and night to head straight for Guanqing. Chapter 13:26. Late at night, the entire Chang and city was asleep, but the Taiji Palace was still brightly lit. Lier was looking at the sand table in front of him thoughtfully with his hands behind his back. Yes, it was a sand table. Ever since Li Zixuan created the Yanhuang College sand table last year, the sand table was finally used in war for the first time. Reporting, Your Majesty. Prince Wei has something urgent to report. At this moment, a chamberlain rushed in and bowed. Lier's eyes flashed. He turned around and said, Let him in. In the future, there's no need to inform Qin Ke when she comes to Ganlu Hall. Understood. The eunuch cupped his hands and left. Not long after, Li Tai walked in with a letter. He raised the letter above his head and said, Reporting to Imperial Father, the frontline army sent an urgent report. Imperial Father, please take a look. Oh, Let me take a look. Li Er impatiently walked to Li Tai's side, took the report, and began to read it carefully. Zhengzhou has a 300,000 army? Cui Zhenshuo, that old thing, probably conscripted all the youths in Zhengzhou, right? Fortunately, Duan Jishuan, Ren Kan, and Wang Yu arrived in time. Otherwise, Luoyang would be in danger. After a while, Li Er put down the report and whispered to himself. Li Tai stood at the side in silence. He had personally translated the telegram. Even if Li Er didn't say it, he knew the contents. Qingke, what do you think? Li Er glanced at Li Tai, who was beside him, and asked. His son used to like to hang around him. Li Er knew why. It was nothing more than fighting for favor. However, ever since Li Tai went to Yanwang College, this child was obsessed with strange things. He heard that the Prince Wei's residents had built a laboratory to fiddle with strange things. The little fatty who used to hang around him every day and call him father was gone. Every time he thought of this, Li Er felt gratified, but he couldn't help but feel a little lonely. Imperial father, this son doesn't dare to have any opinions on the matters of the country. This son believes that with Imperial father's wisdom and martial prowess, a mere rebel army is like a grasshopper after autumn. They won't be able to survive for more than a few days. If Imperial father has nothing else, then this subject will take his leave first. If there are any urgent reports from the front lines, this subject will report to Imperial father again. Li Tai cupped his hands and said, from the day the army left the capital, he was asked for leave. He was asked by Li Er from Yanwang College back to Chang, and to be in charge of communications with the front line. He was quite interested in this, so he came back half-heartedly. However, what he was interested in was the first practical use of a new technology like the telegraph, not the situation at the front line. To put it bluntly, he was now a technical geek. All right then, Qingke, you've worked hard these days. Li Er saw that Li Tai's mind was not here, so he could only helplessly say, this son is not tired. Father, please rest early. This son will take his leave. Li Tai cupped his hands and took his leave. The three armies combined into one army, besieging the enemy and attacking reinforcements. The medicine master's actions are very much to my liking. I like to see how much power is hidden behind the three of you. After Li Tai left, Li Er lowered his head to look at the intelligence on the table and muttered to himself. Back then, he had indeed noticed the Cui family's disloyalty and had secretly made preparations. The reason why he did not nip the rebellion in the bud was mainly because he wanted to see how much power the Cui family had hidden in the dark, or how many people were willing to rebel with the Cui family. He wanted to cast a long line to catch a big fish. He wanted to take this opportunity to wipe out all the remnants of the aristocratic families in one fell swoop. Li Jing's strategy of besieging the enemy and attacking reinforcements was exactly what he wanted. However, after this battle, Zhengzhou is bound to lose a large number of young and strong laborers, and the people's livelihood will wither. I'm afraid it will be difficult to fully recover in the next 10 years. What should we do? A moment later, a hint of worry appeared on the heir's face as he sighed softly. Reporting to the general. The head chief has ordered the Black Armored Army and 150,000 provincial government troops to strictly guard the city and guard against the reinforcements from the Zheng family and the Cui family from Bowling. The head chief is leading 3 armies to travel through the night and will arrive before nightfall. The next day, a messenger rode a fast horse to the Black Armored Army's tent in the south of Guangqing County. He cupped his fists and reported to Duan Jishuan. When Duan Jishuan heard this, he suddenly stood up and said, You said that the rebels in the city have reinforcements near Zhengzhou? Is the information accurate? Obviously, he also realized that if the Cui family's rebels were to form a pincer attack, it would be extremely disadvantageous for them. Reporting to the general, the head chief obtained the information from within Guangqing County, and it is extremely reliable. I hope the general can deal with it carefully. The messenger replied, and then fainted immediately. He was really too tired after rushing all the way here on a fast horse. Quick, someone come and help him to the tent to rest. Duan Jishuan hurriedly shouted outside the tent. Then 2 soldiers came in and carried the messenger away. Duan Jishuan then ordered Wu Feng, Zheng Chang, immediately send out scouts to scout along the south of Zhengzhou. If you find the enemy, come back immediately and report to me. Yes, sir. The 2 generals cupped their fists and immediately left. Duan Jishuan thought for a moment and followed them out of the tent. Someone, prepare the horses and follow me to the east gate camp. Hiya, hiya, quick, quick, quick. Follow me, everyone behind me. We must reach Guangxing County before nightfall. On the official road in the north of Shuzhou, an army of more than 10,000 people was galloping. The general in front was riding a war horse, and the soldiers behind were chasing after him. Hey, I heard that the 300,000 soldiers in Guangxing County were surrounded by 150,000 soldiers outside the city. If you ask me, that Shui Quan is really useless. If I were to lead the army, I would definitely kill the Imperial Army. Hee hee. Next to the army, there was a small group of people who were not wearing military armor. They were all holding strange weapons, and their appearance was even more unrestrained. They were dressed rather casually, as if they were not going to the battlefield, but rather to attend some grand event. They were the Jianghu experts that the Chui and Zheng families had been keeping all these years. The rest of them were the secret guards of the Chui and Zheng families. Who would have thought that the 2 families would hide their troops in Shuzhou, which was south of Zhengzhou? Hey, Iron Fist Wong, you are really shameless. I heard that the Imperial Court had sent the Black Armored Army this time. With your mediocre skills, I don't think you can last more than 3 rounds with the Black Armored Army. Another shifty-eyed man chuckled. Bah, Hua Xiajian, if you say one more word, do you believe that I will cut off your manhood so that you can go and harm other people's maidens? Hey, 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 what a joke. What a joke. Brother Iron Fist, don't mind me. In Guangxing County, since yesterday, when the commoners knew that the army was outside the city, there were more and more people who were dissatisfied with the Chui family in private. But because the provincial governor's troops had not only strengthened the city's defense, they had also increased the patrols in the city. They had also caught a few groups of people who were spreading rumors, so the commoners did not dare to talk nonsense anymore. As the saying goes, if you do not explode in silence, you will perish in silence. Some things, the more oppressed, the more they would rebound. The longer the silence, the stronger the rebound would be. For example, the public opinion. A formless anger was brewing in Guangxing County. However, those who were still immersed in their dreams of killing their way out of Guangxing County did not feel this anger. Sigh. Now that the Imperial Court's army has surrounded Guangxing County, but the Chui family is still dreaming of dominating the city. It's fine if they're dreaming, but it has caused us, the commoners, to suffer. In a few more days, when the Imperial Court's reinforcements arrive, they will attack the city. And us, the new soldiers guarding the city gate, will definitely die. On the east side of Guangxing County, Lu Renge looked at the densely packed military tents and sighed deeply. And behind him on his right, there was a soldier holding a javelin in his hand. When the guard heard this, his face twitched imperceptibly. However, due to his fear of the general in the camp, he did not say anything. Seeing Lu Renge shake his head and turn to leave, he finally could not help but say, "Brother Ren, please wait." "Oh, it's Captain Wong of the 6th Battalion. Just now, you didn't hear anything, right?" Lu Rengui's face flashed with a trace of surprise, followed by fear. He carefully probed. That soldier shook his head and said, "The wind was strong just now. I didn't hear anything." Lu Rengui heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Oh, that's good. That's good. Captain Wong, why did you call me?" Actually, he had purposely said those words in front of this person. In this Captain Wong's background, he had already investigated clearly. His name was Wong Lang, the son of the Wong family village outside the city. A month ago, he was captured and used some unknown method to become the captain of the 9th Battalion, 6th Battalion. He was also quite popular among his subordinates. More importantly, the Wong family village outside the city had been bullied by the Chui family for many years. This was also the main reason why Lu Rengui dared to say those taboo words in front of Wang Lang. Come. Brother Ren, let's talk here. Wang Lang carefully pulled Lu Rengui to the corner of the city wall and asked softly, Brother Ren, let's not beat around the bush. Just now you said that there will be reinforcements from the imperial court, and when the reinforcements arrive, they will attack the city. Is that true? You don't have to worry. I will never tell anyone what you said to me. I, Wang Lang, swear to the heavens. Lu Rengui originally wanted to humbly decline a few more words to prevent this kid from getting suspicious, but after hearing Wang Lang's honesty, he simply said, Brother Wang, since you said so, then I won't hide it from you. What I said just now was actually accidentally heard from our adjunct Huang. He also said that when the imperial court's army attacks the city, he will send us, the new soldiers, to our deaths. After a quarter of an hour, Lu Rengui returned to his position and continued to stand guard. How is it? Joining the army? Is it done? Old Feng asked sneakily. Hey, is there need to ask? This should be the 12th one, right? It's almost enough. Chapter 1327. Right now, the public opinion of Guangqing County was like a ticking time bomb. What Lu Rengui was doing right now was to collect these ticking time bombs and wait for a specific time to detonate them all at the same time, blowing up a crack in this impregnable city. Many things looked impenetrable from the outside, but from the inside, they might be easily broken. Reporting to the Grand General, the scouts at the front discovered a large number of troops and a group of unidentified Jianghu people at the junction of Zhengzhou and Shuzhou. They are rushing towards us. At 5 past noon, a soldier rushed in from the Black Armored Army's tent in the south of the city and reported to Duan Jishuan. Oh, at this time, 50,000 unidentified troops suddenly appeared. They must be the reinforcements of the Cui and Zhen families. As for those Jianghu people, they might be the retainers of these two families in recent years. Did you see how many of them there are? How long will it take to reach Guangqing County? Duan Jishuan's expression changed as he stood up. Replying to the Grand General, the other party has about 50,000 people. According to their marching speed, they will reach Guangqing County around 5. Then when will the Grand General Manager and the rest arrive? Duan Jishuan's expression changed slightly as he thought about it and asked again. According to the latest intelligence, the Grand General Manager's army is more than 30 miles away from Guangqing County. They will probably reach Guangqing County around 5, but the soldiers suddenly became hesitant at the end. Duan Jishuan frowned and said, But what? But the Grand General Manager's army travels day and night. As far as I know, they only rested for less than 4 hours last night. The soldier cupped his fist and said. His meaning was obvious. He wanted to tell Duan Jishuan that even if the army led by Li Jing arrived, their combat power would probably be less than 10%. After all, they didn't really rest for a day and a night. Duan Jishuan's brows furrowed deeply. After pondering for a moment, he ordered, Wu Feng, Zheng Chang, the two of you go to the east and west camps respectively. Ask Run Can and Wang Yu to take 20,000 men each and go with me to stop the reinforcements of the Cui and Zheng families. Then, Grand General, if the rebels in the city take the opportunity to escape from the south gate, what should we do? The general to the left of Duan Jishuan cupped his fist and said, I will only bring 1,000 black armored troops with me. The remaining 2,000 will be led by the two of you. If the Cui family intends to escape from the South City Gate, the 60,000 elites that you brought along with the head chief will be able to defeat them easily. Duan Jishuan said coldly. Wu Feng and Zheng Chang looked at each other, and then they cupped their fists and said in unison, Understood. Report the military situation here to the general director while you're at it. In the end, Duan Jishuan instructed. Here. Reporting to the 3 great-grandpas. The 2 young masters have sent a letter saying that our reinforcements have arrived 40 miles outside the city. In another 4 hours, we will reach the south of the city. Guangqing County, Provincial Governor's Office. A soldier carrying a piece of paper hurriedly ran in and bowed. The reinforcements of the Chui and Zheng families this time were personally led by Chui Wenji and Zheng Shui's eldest grandsons, Chui Shun and Zheng Huaijie. The troops carried carrier pigeons so that they could send messages into the city at any time. This message was, of course, directed in one direction. Chui Shun and Zheng Huaijie could use carrier pigeons to send messages into the city, but Chui Wenji and Zheng Shuwu could not use carrier pigeons to send messages to Chui Shun and the rest. This was because the army was constantly on the move, and carrier pigeons would only return to the home in their memories. Compared to that, the superiority of telegraphic messages was obvious. Good, good. When Shun and the rest arrive with their reinforcements, we will fight our way out from the South City Gate. With a pincer attack, I don't believe that we can't fight our way out. Chui Wenji got up and laughed. Chui Junshuo hesitated and said, Brother Wenji, the army has been on the move for a whole day. Why don't we let them rest for a night and fight again tomorrow? Chui Wenji nodded and said, Junshuo is right. Look at my brain. I'm probably old and confused. Once I get excited, I forget everything. The army is fatigued from the journey and should indeed rest for a night. In that case, we will attack again tomorrow. It's just that, how are we going to spread the news? When he said that, Chui Junshuo, Chui Wenji, and Zheng Shuwu were all in a dilemma. Previously, they had sealed the city so that Wei Zheng and Lu Ringui could not spread the news even if they wanted to. It was only after Li Yu came to manage the city that the situation changed. Now, Guangqing County was surrounded by the imperial court's army. Chui Junshuo and the rest finally experienced Wei Zheng and Lu Ringui's situation. For now, we can only wait for Huaijie and the rest to send another message and act according to their plan. If they choose to fight tonight, then we will go out of the city and fight. If they choose to rest for a night, then we will wait until tomorrow to lead the troops out of the city. After a long silence, Zheng Shui said helplessly, That's the only way. Reporting to the chief steward, General Duan sent an urgent report. In the wilderness 30 miles west of Guangqing County, a huge army was advancing quickly. Suddenly, a knight in black armor came toward them. Li Jing quickly ordered the army to stop. The knight quickly got off his horse and cupped his fists. Read it, Li Jing said in a low voice. Reporting to the chief steward, General Duan found the reinforcements of the Chui and Zheng families 40 miles south of Guangqing County, as well as the martial arts experts and death warriors that the two families have raised. General Duan took 20,000 soldiers from the east and west gates and brought 1,000 black armored soldiers to ambush them. General Duan said that the chief steward and the rest must be tired after traveling through the night. When the time comes, we only need to help in the south of the city to stop the rebels from escaping. The black armored soldier cupped his fists and said, Defense was always more energy efficient than taking the initiative to attack. Duan Jishuan's arrangement was reasonable, and there was nothing wrong with it. Bastard, what does Duan Jishuan mean? What do you mean by tired? He is looking down on us old generals. Motherf asterisk her, you want to steal old Cheng's credit? Impossible. Chief Steward, I request for an order to bring 1,000 elites to stop the reinforcements of the Chui and Zheng families. When Sheng Yaojin heard this, he was instantly furious. He cupped his fists at Li Jing and said angrily, Jijia, don't be rash. General Duan is right. The army has traveled for a day and night. The men and horses are tired. Qin Xiong pulled Sheng Yaojin and stopped him. Li Jing frowned and did not say anything. After a while, he stretched out his hand and said, Give me the map. Yes. A soldier at the side quickly handed over the map. Li Jing opened it and pointed at a location on the map. He said to Cheng Yaojin, Qin Xiong, and Yo Jinda, The reinforcements of the Chui and Zheng families should be around Mi County, and they are less than 30 miles away from us. Since they are the last trump card of the Chui and Zheng families, their fighting strength cannot be underestimated. Furthermore, there are many martial arts experts and death warriors. I'm worried that Duan Jishuan's men are not their match. Jijia, You bring 5,000 elites and support Duan Jishuan. When the time comes, you will act according to the situation. After I stabilize the defense line at the 3 gates of Guangxin County, I will bring people to support you." Cheng Yaojin laughed when he heard this. "Haha, good. Don't worry, head chief, Old Cheng, will kill all the rebels." Qin Xiong said anxiously, "Manager, it's easy for Jijia to take risks. I will go with him. Guangxin County has you and Jinda, so there shouldn't be any accidents." When Cheng Yaojin heard that, his face fell. However, Qin Xiong was talking about him, so he did not dare to talk back. Li Jing thought about it and said, "That's great." A moment later, Qin Xiong and Cheng Yaojin chose 5,000 elites from the 60,000 army and rushed towards Mi County. "We will be able to see Guangxin County in an hour. Huaijia, should we find a secluded place outside the city to rest for the night or launch an attack directly?" On the road north of Mi County, the reinforcements of the Chui and Zheng families were rushing. Chui Shun, who was at the front, opened his mouth. Zheng Huaijia rubbed his thighs that were almost scraped open. He had always been a spoiled brat, so he had never suffered so much. If it weren't for the Zheng family's crisis, he wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to come here personally. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Why don't we launch the attack tomorrow? The soldiers have walked for a day and should be tired." Chui Shen nodded and said, "That's good. I will send someone to send a message to grandfather." The army continued to move forward. At this moment, there was a mountain path in front of them. The mountain path was not very narrow and could allow 4 horses to walk side by side. The hills on both sides were not very steep, and there was a dense forest growing on the hills. "Young master, please tell the army to be on high alert and be careful of an ambush." An old man beside Chui Shun, Wang Taishou, who had said that he would lead the army to kill the black armored army, came to Chui Shen's side and said solemnly. Chui Shen frowned. "Ambush? At this time, they will ambush me. Kung, 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 kill." Before Chui Shen could finish his sentence, countless soldiers suddenly rushed down from the hills on both sides. They held Mo swords in their hands and charged toward the Chui and Zheng armies with an indomitable will. "Ambush! Draw your swords and fight. Remember to maintain the formation," Wang Taishou shouted. Then, he and a few other experts surrounded Chui Shen and Zheng Huaijia in the middle to protect them. The 2 armies soon engaged in battle. As they did not know where the enemy came from and whether they would have any reinforcements, Chui Shen and Zheng Huaijia ordered the army to advance as they fought. They planned to get out of this mountain path first and get rid of the terrain that was disadvantageous to them. Soon they saw the mountain path. Once they got out of this mountain path, there would be a vast plain in front of them. At that time, they would be able to fight the enemy head-on. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Chui Shen and his army were about to get out of the mountain path, everyone suddenly felt the ground tremble. Then, a group of black armored cavalry appeared on the plain outside the mountain path. They were emitting a strong and cold, murderous aura, like a group of death knights from hell. "Black armored army? Young master, it's the black armored army. But why are the black armored troops here?" Wang Taishou said with a face full of fear. Chapter 13:28. 2. In one chapter, Black Armored Troops. Isn't the black armored troops stationed outside of Guangxin County? Why are they here? When Chui Shen and Zheng Huaijia heard that the enemy was the black armored troops, their faces turned green with fear. The black armored troops were known for their unparalleled combat prowess. The 2 of them had never been on the battlefield before, but this was their first encounter with the black armored troops. How could they not be terrified? "Young masters, there is no need to worry. The black armored troops only have about 1,000 men. Let the experts from the Hall of Worship and the men of sacrifice from the Kamikaze Battalion meet them. As for the troops on both sides of the mountain path, let the Shadow Guards deal with them. If we can take down 1,000 black armored troops, the south side of Guangxin County will be defenseless. At that time, we will have a better chance of rescuing old grandfather and the rest." Taizhou Wang was also panicking at the start. However, when he saw the number of black armored troops, he calmed down and tried to persuade them. Hall of Worship Wang is right. Let's do as he says. At this moment, Cui Shen and Zheng Huaijie were in a state of being out of their wits. Iron Hand Wang's words were like a life-saving straw, letting them see some hope, so they desperately climbed up this life-saving straw. Yes, young master. Taizo Wang clasped his hands and shouted, "Brothers from the Hall of Worship and the Men of Sacrifice, follow me to meet the black armored troops." Yes. Following a chorus of voices, hundreds of Jianghu people dressed in various colors rushed out from the army. Together with 3,000 to 4,000 warriors dressed in black, they charged straight at the black armored troops. "You are courting death. Listen to my command. Charge with me." Duan Jishuan saw that the opposing army dared to take the initiative to meet the black armored troops head-on. He roared angrily and urged his horse forward. With a lance in one hand, he charged forward at an even faster speed. "Kill!" 1,000 black armored troops roared in unison and charged forward. The war horses neighed, and their shouts shook the heavens. The Hall of Worship and the Men of Sacrifice from the Cui and Zheng families felt that it was not 1,000 men charging at them, but tens of thousands of ferocious beasts. This was the unparalleled black armored troops. After so many years of training, the black armored troops of today was much better than the black armored troops of the world. Bang, bang, bang. Duan Jishuan's warhorse sent countless soldiers from the Cui and Zheng families flying. Wang Taizo panicked when he saw this. He said to the two people beside him, "Chu Xiaofeng, Hua Xiajian, you two come with me to deal with Duan Jishuan." Iron Fist Wang, you're sending us to our deaths." "I'm not going." Hua Xiajian mocked as he swung his sword to block the black armored troops around him. Wang Taizo panicked and shouted angrily, "Hua Xiajian, can you be a little more mature? With us 3 great grandmasters working together, would we still be afraid of a single Duan Jishuan? If we don't capture him first, our formation will be disrupted by him alone. At that time, no one will be able to survive." All right then. Hua Xiajian's expression changed. Moments later, he sent a flying kick towards one of the black armored troops who was about to attack him. He then turned his head towards Wang Taizo and snorted angrily. "Duan Jishuan, your opponents are the 3 of us." Just as Duan Jishuan was killing as if he was invincible, suddenly 3 masters wielding swords and sabers came flying towards him. 3 martial Dao grandmasters. The Cui and Zheng families are really generous. Duan Jishuan frowned. He felt that this was going to be tricky. He had only just entered the martial Dao grandmaster realm a few years ago. He could fight and kill enemies, but in a one-on-one fight, he was definitely no match for these 3 grandmasters. However, with the enemy before him, even if he could not win, he had to fight. Duan Jishuan slapped his horse's back and soared into the sky, dodging the fatal blows from 2 grandmasters. Then he used his lance to stab the 3rd grandmaster, Wang Tieshou's chest. His speed was as fast as lightning, and so was the situation on the battlefield. Previously, it was 3 against 1, but in the blink of an eye, one of the 3 was about to be killed. Duan Jishuan had been on the battlefield for many years. Unlike these Jianghu ruffians, he paid the most attention to killing efficiency. His moves looked simple, but often the simplest move was the fiercest killing move. His lance moved forward without hesitation. Wang Taizo was in the air and had no time to dodge. Duan Jishuan, how dare you?" At the moment of life and death, Wang Taizo roared. His hair moved without wind. He channeled his strength into his sword and swung it to block this sure-kill lance. Clang! There was a sharp sound of metal clashing as the sword and lance clashed together. But at this moment, there was a cracking sound. What shocked Wang Taizo was that the long sword that he had always regarded as a treasure actually had a crack on it. Duan Jishuan sneered. To think that ordinary iron would dare to block this general's lance. Go to hell." With a crack, the long sword in Wang Tieshou's hand suddenly split into 2 halves. Duan Jishuan's lance continued to stab at Wang Tieshou's chest. Oof. Duan Jishuan, it's not that easy to kill me. Wang Taizhou growled. Then, he did something that made everyone speechless. He actually used both hands to grab Duan Jishuan's lance. Clang. Just when the onlookers thought that there would be the sound of a sharp blade piercing into flesh, there was a sound of metal clashing on the horse lance. Duan Jishuan's horse lance was actually blocked by Iron Hand Wang with his bare hands. Heh, Duan Jishuan. Now you know why the Jianghu people call me Taizhou, right? What are you two still standing there for? Hurry up and attack. Wang Taizhou sneered and shouted at Hua Xiajian and Chu Xiaofeng. Master Wang, we're here to help you. As long as we killed Duan Jishuan today, the three of us will be famous all over the world. Ha ha! Chu Xiaofeng laughed and slashed with his sword. Hua Xiajian was not willing to be left behind. He also hurried over to help. Duan Jishuan frowned. He wanted to injure one of the grandmasters when they were not prepared. Then, he would go and stall for time with the other two grandmasters. After all, the grandmasters were too powerful. If he did not hold them back and let them kill him, the Black Armored Army might lose a few hundred men. But now that his sneak attack did not work, the enemy must be prepared. He would have to face the pressure of the three grandmasters head-on. It was no different from suicide. Half an hour ago, Guangxing County, Provincial Governor's Mansion. Reporting to the two grandmasters, a portion of the soldiers from the three directions outside the city had been transferred to the south of Guangxing County. A provincial government soldier hurriedly ran into the main hall of the provincial governor's office and reported. What? To the south of Guangxing County? Isn't that where our reinforcements are? Cui Wenji stood up and said. Pan Jinhua thought for a while and said, Grandmasters, could it be that they have discovered the traces of our reinforcements and sent their soldiers to stop them from reaching Guangxing County? Zheng Shua nodded and said, Yes, it's very likely. Duan Jishuan scouts are the best in the world. It shouldn't be difficult for them to discover that our reinforcements are from Shuzhou. Cui Junchuo looked at the soldier and asked, Let me ask you, how many soldiers have been transferred to the east, west, and south gates? The messenger cupped his fists and replied, In reply to Tai Gong, I can't see the exact number. However, about 20 to 30,000 soldiers have been deployed from the east and west gates. As for the south gate, it seems that more than 1,000 black armored soldiers have been deployed there. Cui Junchuo's eyes lit up and said, More than 1,000? That means there are only about 2,000 black armored army left at the south gate? Wenji, Shu, the east and west gates are still there. But there are only about 2,000 black armored army left at the south gate. Although the Black Armored Army's combat power is unparalleled, they won't be able to withstand the combined attack of 300,000 soldiers. We will concentrate on breaking through the south gate and then rendezvous with the reinforcements brought by Shang'er and Huaijie. Cui Wenji thought for a while and saw Zheng Shua nodding. He replied, All right, we will transfer most of the soldiers and break through the south gate. If the other two gates send reinforcements to the south gate, we will lead the rest of the soldiers to escape from the east and west gates. He was indeed an old fox. This was what it meant to attack in the east and attack in the west. Cui Junchuo nodded and said, That's the best. Jinhua, Cui Quan, go and make the arrangements quickly. Half an hour later, the south gate of Guangxing County opened. Cui Quan led 150,000 soldiers and the guard station at the south gate and charged towards the 2,000 Black Armored Army outside the city. Soldiers, we are the Black Armored Army. We will win. Kill. Duan Jishuan's lieutenant, Wu Feng, roared and led the Black Armored Army to charge forward. Pay attention to the formation. Don't fall behind. Duan Jishuan's other lieutenant, Zheng Chang, shouted from behind. Reporting. Lord Pacifier, the rebel army has found out that the south gate is empty. Cui Quan led 100,000 soldiers and charged out from the south gate. I don't think the Black Armored Army can hold on for much longer. East City Gate, Central Army Tent. The messenger hurriedly ran in and bowed to Renkan. What? The rebel army has left the city? Renkan was shocked and immediately became anxious. He said, There are only 2,000 black armored troops at the south gate. Although the black armored troops have unparalleled battle prowess, how can they fight against the hundreds of thousands of rebels in the city? Men, quickly, gather the soldiers and reinforce the black armored army. Lord Pacifier, you can't do that. You can't do that. A middle-aged officer to the left of Run can hurriedly stood up to stop him. Chui Junchuo has only mobilized a few 100,000 soldiers this time. The other few 100,000 soldiers are obviously still waiting for an opportunity to make their move. Once we send too many people to the south gate, the main force of the rebels will definitely escape from the east gate. At that time, the ones who let Chui Junchuo and Pan Jinyue go will be us. Lord Pacifier, please think twice before you act. Runkin frowned and said coldly, Captain Meng, in your opinion, should we stay put and watch as the black armored army is annihilated and the Chui family escapes from the south gate? You must know that the black armored army is the army that His Majesty values the most. If His Majesty finds out that we watched the black armored army being destroyed without doing anything, then our sins will be even greater. Captain Meng was speechless. He clasped his fist and said, Lord Pacifier, Lord Pacifier. Pacifier, there are currently 55,000 soldiers guarding the east and west city gates. We can only deploy 5,000 soldiers each to reinforce the black armored troops. This way, we won't weaken the defense of the east and west city gates by much. Moreover, with 2,000 black armored troops and 10,000 prefecture soldiers, even if we lose, we won't lose so quickly. Now, we just have to see if Butler Lee's army can arrive before the 2,000 black armored army is completely defeated. Other than that, we have no other choice. Ren Can's brows furrowed. He lowered his head and fell in a deep thought. After a while, he raised his head and said, Captain Meng, immediately take 5,000 elite soldiers and go to the south gate to support the black armored troops. Also, send someone to the west gate to inform Wang Yu. Yes, Lord. The middle-aged general replied loudly and left the tent. At the south gate, the two armies were engaged in a fierce battle. The black armored army lived up to their reputation as the heavy armored cavalry. Even in the face of hundreds of thousands of enemy soldiers, they were not completely defeated. The 2,000 black armored army formed a long snake formation. With their strong charging force and armor, they charged through the rebel army several times. Chui Quan's army of hundreds of thousands had already lost at least 20,000 soldiers. Most of them were killed by the fully armored horses. However, the black armored army had also paid a heavy price. After a few charges, they had lost more than 300 soldiers. This made Wu Feng and Zheng Chang's hearts ache. Those who were able to join the black armored army were all elite soldiers who could fight against 100 soldiers. Set up your formation and surround the black armored army. Chui Quan roared, and the remaining 100,000 soldiers, under the command of their respective captains, formed an encirclement and surrounded the black armored troops. Without an open space, the black armored army could not charge forward. They were like caged beasts. Kill! From all directions, the rebel soldiers wielded long spears and charged towards the black armored troops. Without their advantage in speed, the black armored army could only raise their swords to defend themselves. But as the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Under such a dense encirclement, many of the black armored army were dismounted. Bang! 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 Kill! Suddenly, 2 armies of thousands of soldiers appeared from the east and west. The rebel army panicked. Wu Feng made a prompt decision and shouted, Charge out from the east! Kill! Soon, the eastern side of the rebel army's encirclement was attacked from both inside and outside. It did not take long for a gap to be torn open. The black armored army was finally able to charge forward again. Together with the 10,000 soldiers, they started to fight the rebel army again. However, the hundreds of thousands of soldiers that Chui Quan brought with him were not just a motley crew. There were also 20,000 Chui family shadow guards. Coupled with the fact that there were so many of them, the black armored army and the 10,000 soldiers from the provincial government showed signs of defeat. Hee, looks like we've won. We can leave Guan City from the south gate now. On the city gate tower, Cui Junshuo heaved a long sigh of relief after she saw the situation of the battle below. Bang! 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 Soldiers, follow me. We're going to save the black armored army. Just when Cui Junshuo thought that the situation was settled, a black mass of soldiers suddenly rushed out from the wilderness to the west. The leader was a large number of people holding long lances, riding horses, and galloping towards them. Niujinda? Li Jing? How is that possible? Chapter 1329. Cui Junshuo, Cui Wenji, Zhang Shu, Pan Jinyue, and the rest were devastated when they saw Li Jing and Niu Jinda leading at least 60,000 soldiers to the south gate. Just a moment ago, they were still overjoyed that they had won the battle and could finally break out of the encirclement. However, the army led by Li Jing and Niu Jinda had extinguished the flames of hope in their hearts. The 2,000 black armored troops and 10,000 prefecture soldiers had already caused them such heavy losses. Now that the Tang military god was leading 60,000 soldiers, how were they supposed to fight back? In terms of reputation, Li Jing was much more powerful than the black armored troops. The Tang military god had never lost a single battle since his debut. Cui Quan was also a little dumbfounded at this moment. He looked at the tanned and thin veteran who called himself Old Nyo and was shocked. Could this be Langyi County's Old Nyo Jinda? Then, wouldn't the army he brought be the elites from the capital? Who would be able to withstand this? Reinforcements are here. Generals, listen up. Follow me and kill. Kill every last one of them. Wu Feng was overjoyed when he saw the army coming from the west. He shouted loudly, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Hearing that the reinforcements were here, the black armored troops' morale was boosted, and they charged even more fiercely at the rebels. At this moment, Niu Jinda had already led his soldiers over. As soon as they came into contact, 4 to 5 rebels were sent flying by him. Then he swung his sword left and right, and more than a dozen soldiers were killed by his sword in an instant. He was unparalleled in bravery. Roar! Kill! 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 Although the army behind Niu Jinda had been traveling for a day and a night, and their bodies were extremely tired, they still couldn't help but feel their blood boil when they saw this scene. Their bodies were instantly filled with a primordial energy, and they forgot all their fatigue and launched a fearless charge. To Cui Quan, the current situation on the battlefield could be said to have taken a sudden turn for the worse. Very soon, his army of over 100,000 was scattered and utterly defeated. Beat the gongs to retreat. Quick! Beat the gongs to retreat. Order everyone to return to the city immediately. Cui Junshuo, who was watching the battle from the city gate tower, hurriedly ordered. Cui Wenji and Zhang Shua looked at each other, shook their heads, and said nothing. Obviously, they also thought that Cui Quan's men couldn't defeat Li Jing's men. Yes, a soldier rushed out hurriedly. Clang, clang, clang. Not long after, a sound similar to the sound of a gong sounded from the city gate tower. It was written in Sun's Han army, Sun Zi's Han army. Advance at the sound of the drum, sound, sound, retreat. East, west, north, 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 east, 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 west, north, 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 and central, central. Because technology was west, west, and west, west, yong, west, 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 sun, west. When the, and when they and the Sunday were. When Sun, Li heard the after Wang heard the Sun, army, and Sun, and Wang, sounded, Sun heard of the retreat, Yayin retreat. Sun, let's wait. Phone. When this heard the sound of this when Tuesday s, he didn't have the courage to fight against a famous general of the Great Tang like Niu Jinda, much less win. If he could retreat, he would do so with all his might. Commandant, why do you want our 2 battalions to bring up the rear? A young general roared unwillingly. Commandant Song, this is an order. Cui Quan looked at the young general coldly and said, "The rest of the soldiers, listen to my order. Retreat. Retreat into the city." After saying that, he turned his horse around and took the lead to escape. The remaining 100,000 rebels hurriedly followed behind Chui, Quan, and ran toward the city gate. Although the thousands of soldiers in the 13th and 14th battalions were unwilling, they could only stay behind to stop the imperial court's army. The rebels on the battlefield were getting fewer and fewer. Not long after, only these 2 battalions were left. Just as the commandants of these 2 battalions were about to bring their troops back to the city, they saw that the wooden bridge over the moat had been put away and the city gate was gradually closing. Ah, Chui Quan, you'll die a horrible death. When Commandant Song saw this, he knew that his 2,000 men had been abandoned. He immediately let out an indignant roar. At this moment, Niu Jinda had already surrounded the 2,000 men with his army. He said coldly, "Put down your weapons and surrender immediately. Then I might spare your lives." "Thank you, General Niu. We surrender. We surrender." Hearing this, the rebels put down their weapons without hesitation. Since Chui Quan was using them as cannon fodder, what was there to hesitate about? "Take them away." Niu Jindao waved his hand, and the soldiers took the captives away. At this moment, Niu Jindao looked at Chui Junchuo and the others on the city gate tower and shouted, "Chui Junchuo, you've committed treason and disregarded the imperial court's favor. I advise you to surrender as soon as possible. Otherwise, you'll die without a complete corpse." Chui Junchuo was disheartened. Li Jing and Niu Jindao's appearance made him lose all hope of winning. However, things had already come to this. If he retreated, he would die. If he advanced, he would also die. There was no turning back. "Niu Jinda, it's impossible for me, Chui Junchuo, to surrender. There are still 200,000 men in the city. If you and Li Jing want to attack the city, then come at me." Chui Junchuo's eyes flashed with viciousness. Even if there was no chance of winning, he would drag the entire city down with him. "Oof. Old bastard, you really don't know what's good for you," Niu Jinda said angrily. "All right, Jinda, quickly clean up the battlefield. Then, bring the rest of the black armor troops to support Xu Bao and Ji Jie. Leave this to me." At this moment, Li Jing walked up and patted Niu Jinda on the shoulder before speaking softly. "Oh, okay, I'll do it now." Niu Jinda was shocked. Only then did he remember that there were still 2 armies fighting in the south. He cupped his fists in response and quickly went to find the black armored troops. In the southern suburbs of Guangxing County, the 50,000 Shadow Guard from the Chui and Zheng families and the 40,000 soldiers from Duan Jishuan had suffered heavy casualties. However, the Shadow Guards from the Chui and Zheng families still had the upper hand. As for Duan Jishuan's black armored troops, the Chui and Zheng families' hall of worship and camp of sacrifice, the situation was even more one-sided. More than half of the black armored troops were either dead or injured. As for Duan Jishuan himself, he was severely injured. His light armor was stained with blood from both the enemy and himself. It could be said that if the battle continued like this, the people that Duan Jishuan had brought with him would be completely annihilated. So what if the black armored troops were brave and powerful? The hall of worship of the Chui and Zheng families were all elite fighters. As for the camp of sacrifice, they were all assassins who were not afraid of death. In terms of combat power, the black armored troops were not that strong. Moreover, the enemy outnumbered them by a few times. "Hey, black armored troops, didn't you say that 3,000 black armored troops could defeat 100,000 soldiers? Why is the general of the black armored troops so weak?" Wang Taizhou threw a punch at Duan Jishuan and sent him crashing to the ground. This man did not know the saying that all villains die because they talk too much. So, he wanted to mock them and show off his strength. Duan Jishuan supported himself with his lance and stood up unsteadily. He looked at Wang Taizhou and said coldly, "The black armored troops' reputation is not for trash like you to judge. Let's see how long you can be so arrogant when my reinforcements arrive." "Huh, reinforcements? If you have reinforcements, why are they taking so long? Why don't you call for your reinforcements to come quickly?" Wang Taizhou sneered. In this battle, although it was 3 evolved Jing masters against 1, all three of them were injured. At this time, he had a stomach full of anger. Now that he had beaten Duan Xuanji to the ground with great difficulty, of course he wanted to show off his prestige as the victor. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a series of hurried footsteps came from outside the mountain. Wang Taizhou, Cui Shun, Zheng Huaijie, and the rest were shocked. Oh no, their reinforcements are here. Cui Shun said in a panic. Huh, how dare the remnants of the noble families resist the imperial army? Soldiers, charge with me, old Cheng. Kill every last one of them. Cheng Yaojin held a lance in his hand and took the lead to rush over. Kill, kill, kill. The 5,000 elites that Cheng Yaojin and Qin Xiong had brought with them also charged forward. Damn it, they really have reinforcements. Then you can go to hell first. Wang Tieshou's face darkened. He cursed himself for saying such a thing. He used his leg to pick up a saber beside a dead soldier and slashed it at Duan Jishuan's neck with one hand. Huh, how dare you, old man? At the crucial moment, Cheng Yaojin roared and threw out the stallion in his hand. His target was Iron Hand Wang. Wang Taizhou did not dare to take it head-on. He quickly dodged, and the lance stabbed into the ground. It was obvious how powerful Cheng Yaojin's attack was. Whoosh! In just a short while, Cheng Yaojin and Qin Xiong had arrived and stood in front of Duan Jishuan. General Duan, take care of yourself. Leave these three to me and Jijia. Qin Xiong looked at Duan Jishuan and said. Duan Jishuan clasped his fist and said, Thank you, General Qin. Thank you, General Cheng. Cheng Yaojin laughed. Hey, little Duan, next time you encounter something like this, don't force yourself. You're a good fighter. If you die in the hands of these idiots, it won't be worth it. Duan Jishuan was immediately choked by this shameless old man. All right, Jijia, focus on the enemy first. Qin Xiong pulled out his sword and looked at the three grandmasters in front of him. All right, today I can finally show my skills. The three of you, old men, come at me together. Cheng Yaojin picked up the lance that was inserted into the ground and laughed loudly. Qin Xiong, Cheng Yaojin, Wang Taizhou, Chu Xiaofeng, and Hua Xiajian's pupils shrank. Their faces were filled with shock. Hey, cut the crap. Today none of you can leave. Cheng Yaojin did not waste any more time. He shouted and charged forward with his lance. Chapter 1330. Clang, clang, clang. On the mountain path, Cheng Yaojin and Qin Xiong fought the three grandmasters from the Cui and Zheng families together. The sound of weapons clashing echoed throughout the valley. Although in terms of overall strength, Cheng Yaojin and Qin Xiong were weaker than Wang Taizhou, Chu Xiaofeng, and Hua Xiajian. In the previous battle with Duan Jishuan, each of them had expended a lot of their qi and suffered some injuries. Although those injuries were not fatal, they were unable to maintain their peak condition. It was because of these reasons that Cheng Yaojin and Qin Xiong could fight the three grandmasters without losing. On the other side, with the addition of the 5,000 elites brought by Cheng Yaojin, the shadow guards of the Cui and Zheng families were gradually losing. The scales of victory were slowly tilting towards the imperial court. The sun was setting in the west, and the sky was gradually turning dark. Of the three grandmasters from the Cui and Zheng families, one was dead and two were injured. Chu Xiaofeng was dead, and only Wang Taizhou and Hua Xiajian were left struggling to hold on. The two of them could not hold on for much longer. On the other hand, less than 10,000 of the Cui family's 50,000 shadow guards were left. All of them were injured, and the battle was coming to an end. Cui Shen and Zheng Huaijie were watching from the side. They were anxious, but there was nothing they could do. Huaijie, our shadow guards can't hold on for much longer. Why don't we run? Cui Shen said with a pale face. He was afraid of death. He had not lived long enough. Gulp. Zheng Huaijie swallowed and hesitated. Okay, let's run now and hide in the forest on both sides of the mountain path. Even if they find out that we have escaped, it won't be easy for them to find us. After that, The two young masters of the aristocratic families led a few guards and began to sneak toward the side of the mountain. Dong, dong, dong. Just then, the sound of horses galloping came from outside the mountain path. A moment later, the clan people saw a group of black-armored knights galloping toward them. Shu Bao Jijia, Jinda is here to help. Neo Jinda urged the warhorse beneath him to gallop over at a high speed. Black-armored troops. Black-armored troops again. The Chui and Zheng families are done for. When Wang Tai's Ho saw Lai Jun clearly, he suddenly felt a wave of despair and said with a painful expression. At this time, he was truly in despair. He even wanted to give up resisting. Quick, run. Another group of black-armored troops is here. Chui Shun heard the commotion at the entrance of the mountain path. When he took a closer look, he was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly urged Zheng Huaijia and the guards around him to speed up. Jinda, don't worry about us for now. Those two should be the young masters of the Chui family and the Zheng family. Capture them. Don't let them escape. Qin Xiong had already noticed Chui Shun and Zheng Huaijia, who were surrounded by a group of people trying to escape. He hurriedly said to Neo Jinda, who was running over, "Good. I'll go and capture those two kids right now." Neo Jinda looked in the direction Qin Xiong was pointing at, and then he shouted and urged his warhorse to gallop towards Chui Shun and Zheng Huaijia. "Young master, hurry up and leave. Someone was chasing after them. I'll help you block them for a while." When the guard beside Chui Shun saw Neo Jinda galloping over and said. Then he turned around with a solemn expression and went to meet the enemy with his weapon. Go, all of you, go and block that person. The Chui family will help you take care of your family. Chui Shun panicked and hurriedly shouted at the rest of the guards beside him. Yes, young master. The guards looked at each other, and a trace of despair flashed in their eyes. They cupped their hands and turned to rush out. Hey, you think you can stop me with just a few of you? Neo Jinda snorted coldly and did not slow down at all. He continued to gallop towards these few soldiers. These few soldiers did not see Neo Jinda move, but their weapons were already sent flying by the lance in Neo Jinda's hand, and they were also pushed back by this huge force. Neo Jinda did not kill them. Instead, he went straight for Chui Shun and Zheng Huaijia, who were running up the hill. In the blink of an eye, he had already caught up with them. He jumped down from his horse and knocked the two unconscious without any effort. Chui Shun's guard wanted to go forward to rescue them, but they were surrounded by the prefecture soldiers who had rushed over. At this moment, Cheng Yaojin and Qin Xiong respectively found a flaw in Wang Tai's Ho and Hua Xiaojin's defense and killed them with a single blow. Two grandmaster-level consecrators of the aristocratic families fell unwillingly just like that. The reinforcements of the Chui family and Zheng family, who had not fallen, saw that their young masters had been captured and that their top fighters had died. Instantly, they lost the motivation to continue fighting and put down their weapons, kneeling on the ground and surrendering. Seeing this, Qin Xiong decisively gave the order to quickly clean up the battlefield and then regroup with the main force. In this battle, the Chui family and Zheng family's consecrators were completely wiped out. Only 3,000 of the 50,000 secret guards were left, and they surrendered in the end. As for the imperial court, the black armored army suffered heavy losses. More than 500 war horses were lost, 512 soldiers were killed, and General Duan Jishuan was severely injured. Of the 40,000 prefecture soldiers, 3,568 were killed, and 5,032 were severely injured. All in all, it was a heavy loss. If Qin Xiong and Cheng Yaojin had not arrived in time, the losses would have been even worse, or even completely wiped out. Jishuan, you're recovering from your injuries. The military situation is urgent. You made the right choice. The black armored army suffered heavy losses mainly because we underestimated the hidden power of these aristocratic families. After returning to the central tent in the south of Guangxing County, Qin Xiong reported the situation to Li Jing. Duan Jishuan bowed to Li Jing and asked for forgiveness. Li Jing shook his head and comforted him gently. 3 grandmasters, hundreds of Qi transformation realm martial artists, and thousands of fearless men of sacrifice. With such a lineup, perhaps only the Black Armored Army, led by Duan Jishuan, had the ability to fight against them. Although the Black Armored Army suffered heavy losses in the end, Li Jing understood that it was not easy for them to fight to this extent with the military strength at that time. In the end, they had underestimated the strength and foundation of these millennium-old aristocratic families. "Thank you, General Manager, for your mercy." Duan Jishuan saluted and then turned to leave with a sad face. In this battle, he won, but he also lost. "General Manager, the identity of these 2 boys has been verified. They're the eldest grandson of the Chui family in Bowling, Chui Shun, and the eldest grandson of the Zheng family in Xingyang, Zheng Huaijie. How should we deal with them?" Niu Jinda pointed at Chui Shen and Zheng Huaijie on the ground and asked Li Jing. Li Jing thought for a moment and replied, "Take them down and guard them well. When the time comes, bring them back to Chang, and then hand them over to His Majesty." Okay. Niu Jinda heard and nodded. Qin Xiong asked, "General Manager, when are we attacking the city?" When Li Jing heard this, he could not help but frown. He said in a deep voice, "Although theoretically, our victory is already decided, and the Chui family probably knows this, they still want to resist stubbornly and even want to drag the entire city's people to be buried with them. Their thoughts can be said to be vicious. If we rashly attack the city, they will probably let the newly recruited young men and even some old and weak women and children go up to the city tower to defend the city. In this way, if we attack by force, countless innocent people will be injured. Once the battle ends, Zhengzhou will definitely be transferred to the people's livelihood, and it will not recover for 10 years. Therefore, the matter of attacking the city needs to be considered at length. I also have to report this to His Majesty. Let the soldiers rest for a night. Anyway, the rebel army in the city will not be able to escape for a while." Qin Xiong frowned and thought for a moment, then nodded and said, "General Manager's words make sense. Then let's rest for a night." Li Jing's prediction was right. Chui Junchuo had the intention of dragging the entire city to be buried with him. "Wenji, Shu, you don't have to have any more hope. Since Li Jing is here, the reinforcements brought by Chui Shen and Huai Jie must have all been killed. They can't possibly defeat Li Jing's scheme." In the main hall of the provincial governor's mansion, everyone's face was gloomy. The atmosphere in the hall was very oppressive, so oppressive that it was difficult to breathe. Chui Junchuo shakily stood up and let out a long sigh. "No, I don't believe that my Huai Jie will die just like that." Zheng Shuwu shook his head with a pained expression. Chui Junchuo sighed and ignored him. Unexpectedly, Zheng Shuwu suddenly stood up and walked quickly to Chui Junchuo's side. He grabbed his collar and said crazily, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault. If you, Chui Junchuo, had not charmed me with your words back then, how would the Zheng family have come to this point today?" Chui Junchuo's body did not dare to move. Being pulled by Zheng Shuwu like this, he immediately had some difficulty breathing. He quickly shouted at Pan Jinyue beside him, "Quick! Zheng Shuwu is crazy. Quickly capture him. Quick! What are you still standing there for?" Pan Jinyue was originally hesitant, but seeing that Chui Junchuo was almost out of breath, he quickly waved his hand and ordered, "Men, capture old grandfather Zheng." "Yes, Chui Junchuo, you dare to capture me?" Zheng Shuwu was quickly captured by the guards. He looked at Chui Junchuo in disbelief and asked, "Why wouldn't I dare? Quick, take him away." Chui Junchuo said angrily. Now that the Chui and Zheng family's reinforcements had been annihilated by Li Jing's men, he no longer needed to rely on the Zheng family. So he naturally did not need to spoil Jingshu anymore, because the entire army in Guangqing County was his Chui family's people. "Chui Junchuo, you're ungrateful. You'll die a horrible death." Chui Junchuo was quickly taken away, leaving behind a wave of vicious curses. Chui Wenji just watched and did not say a word from the beginning to the end, because he could see the situation clearly. "Jinyue, If Li Jing attacks the city later, let the new soldiers go up to defend the city. After the new soldiers are all dead, let the people in the city to defend the city. Even if the Chui family cannot win, I will make Li Jing lose a few teeth in Guangxing County. I will let the entire Guangxing County be buried with the Chui family. After a moment of silence, Chui Zhenchuo looked at Pan Jinyue and said word by word fiercely. After everyone in the hall heard this, they could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. Chapter 1331. Two in one chapter. After cleaning up the soldiers and counting the casualties, there were many more tents of various sizes in the open space in the south of Guangxing County. Li Jing's 60,000 elites from the capital were able to set up camp. The generals of the army in the east and west naturally came to visit Li Jing, the general manager of the Hunan Province Army, and report the situation of the war in the past 2 days. After receiving the generals, Tai Dan walked in and bowed. Chief Steward, I was on the celestial lamp just now. I used the binoculars to observe the situation in the city and found that the 3 city gates were heavily guarded. There were also some elderly and children among the guards in the south of the city. They were all captured by the Chui family to guard the city. Li Jing frowned and said angrily, Chui Zhenchuo, that old bastard, does he want all the people in the city to die with his Chui family? That's outrageous. At this time, he couldn't help but recall what Chui Zhenchuo said to Niu Jinda in the afternoon on the city gate tower. Niu Jinda, it's impossible for me, Chui Zhenchuo, to surrender. There are more than 200,000 soldiers in the city now. If you and General Manager Li want to attack the city, then come. Now it seemed that Chui Zhenchuo not only wanted to bury these 100,000 new soldiers with him, but also wanted all the people in the city to be his cannon fodder. That was simply insane. Yes, I know all of this. Iron Egg, you've been traveling day and night. Have an early rest. Iron Egg's grandfather and Li Jing were cousins, so strictly speaking, Iron Egg also had to call Li Jing granduncle. With this relationship, Li Jing was quite close to Iron Egg. Yes, Bruiser clasped his fists and left. In the tent, Li Jing closed his eyes and concentrated. After a while, he opened his eyes and wrote the situation here into a memorial. Then he asked someone to call Meng Wenhao and said, Meng Wenhao, send this letter to Chang'an City by telegram. Right now, Meng Wenhao and Iron Egg had become the core members of the entire army. They were in charge of the army's communication with the outside world. The rescue of Guan Cheng relied on the unparalleled transmission speed of the telegraph machine. Li Jing had fought in wars all his life, but he had never been so comfortable as this time. Grasping first-hand information at the first moment allowed him to calmly make various tactical arrangements to deal with the changes in the situation on the battlefield. This was more efficient and useful than strategizing. He had already secretly made up his mind. After returning to the imperial court, he would definitely suggest to Li Heir to build a telegraph machine. With this thing, it would be extremely convenient to fight in the future. Think about it. If an army had a telegraph machine in every camp, it could send their location and the deployment of the enemy's forces to the central tent in a timely manner. Then, he would be able to receive the news as soon as possible, formulate a strategy, and send the battle orders to the front line. Li Jing felt that it was impossible to lose such a war. Information was crucial to the direction of the war. Yes, Chief Steward. Meng Wenhao clasped his fists and was about to turn and leave when Li Jing called out to him again. Wenhao, contact little Yu and ask her how the situation in the city is. Yes. Beep, beep, beep. A series of long codes were sent to Chang'an City. Little fatty Li Tai was busy recording the codes. He was extremely busy. Similar to him, there was another person busy collecting the codes outside Chang'an City. It was Li Zixuan from Yinshan residence. Since the day the army set off, Li Zixuan had handed over the 2 remaining telegraph machines. He had made a few more telegraph machines. Because he knew all the codes and passwords used by the imperial court, Li Zixuan had also received a copy of all the telegrams that Meng Wenhao sent to the imperial court. Because of this, although Li Zixuan had never left Yinshan residence, he knew the situation at the front line like the back of his hand. However, only God knew if what he did was considered as stealing the imperial court's military secrets. Wife, go and tell grandmother and grandfather that the imperial court has won a great victory in Guan City. The Chui family is at the end of their rope. The monk is not in any danger for the time being. Tell them not to worry. After copying the codes, Li Zixuan quickly translated them. After reading the information, he found Han Yushi and said softly, "Yes, yes." Han Yushi nodded. Then she hesitated for a moment and asked, "Husband, Iron Egg, is Iron Egg doing well over there?" Li Zixuan smiled and said, "Wife, don't worry. Iron Egg is with Uncle Li. He is safe. This time, he and Ming Wenhao have made a lot of contributions. When they return, His Majesty will reward them." Han Yushi heaved a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. Husband, I will go and find grandfather and grandmother." "Yes, go." After watching Han Yushi leave, the smile on Li Zixuan's face disappeared. A trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. He muttered to himself, "Chui Junchuo, I didn't expect you to be so vicious. You know that you will lose, but you still use the lives of hundreds of thousands of young people in Zhengzhou to buy time for yourself. It's a pity that this time, it may not be as you wish." Imperial Palace. Li Tai sent the information he received to Li Er. After reading it, Li Er frowned and said coldly, "What a vicious old man from the Chui family." The thing that worried him the most had happened. When he first learned that the Chui family had 300,000 soldiers, he was worried that after this battle, Zhengzhou would lose a large number of young people and their livelihood would wither. Now, he didn't expect that the Chui family would be even more vicious. They even wanted the old, weak, women, and children in the city to help defend the city. After taking 2 deep breaths, Li Er suppressed the anger in his heart. He looked at Li Tai and said, "Qin Ke, send a telegram to inform Li Jing. Ask him to send 2 groups of troops directly to Xingyang and Bowling. Capture all the clansmen of the Zheng family in Xingyang and the Chui family in Bowling. The collateral descendants will be directly exiled to Cheongzhou, and the direct descendants will be escorted back to Chang'an. In addition, let him handle all the military affairs in the county as he sees fit. Under the premise of eliminating the rebels, try to reduce the casualties of the people in the city as much as possible." As Li Tai spoke, he asked the servants for a pen and paper to record at the side. In the end, Li Tai cupped his hands and said, "Yes, sir. Tomorrow, I will go to the pagoda of Xingshan Temple and send the information to Supervisor Li." Xingshan Temple was built during the Sui Dynasty and was the largest Buddhist temple in Chang'an. Although it wasn't as tall as Songyue Temple, it was still one of the taller buildings in Chang'an. In any case, it was already late at night, and there was no need to rush to send out the information. Li Er nodded and said, "Good. Then, Qin-Ke, go back and rest early. Your son will take his leave." Li Tai cupped his hands and left, while Li Er sat on the dragon bed and fell into deep thought. Although the outcome of the Battle of Zhengzhou was already decided, Chui Junchuo's final counterattack made Old Li very uncomfortable. "Your Majesty, Li Junxian requests an audience." After an unknown period of time, an attendant walked in and carefully reported, "Oh, let him in." Li Er came back to his senses and hurriedly said. A moment later, Li Junxian walked in and was about to bow when Li Er waved his hand and said, "There's no need to be so courteous. Why have you come to find us so late at night?" Li Junxian cupped his fists and said, replying to Your Majesty, "Ever since the army went south to Zhengzhou, a total of 42 officials have tried to send pigeons to inform the Chui family and Zheng family, but the letters have all been intercepted by the cavalry. This subordinate has come today to ask Your Majesty, how should we deal with these officials?" Li Er's face darkened, and he expressionlessly said, "Do you have a list? Let's take a look." Li Junxian took out a piece of paper from his bosom and handed it over. "Your Majesty, please take a look. Chui Liang, Chui Cheng, Zheng Shangguang, bastards. A bunch of bastards. They eat from the emperor, but instead of sharing the emperor's burdens, they colluded with the enemy and betrayed the country. These people have gone too far. Tonight, arrest all of them and hand them over to the Supreme Court, Ministry of Justice, and censorate for public trial. Looking at the familiar names on the paper, the anger in the heir's heart grew stronger and stronger. Finally, he slammed the dragon table and exploded. Li Juanqian's spirit was shaken, and he solemnly said, "This general obeys the decree." Li Er's casual words set off a storm of blood in Chang'an City. At night, the doors of dozens of houses were opened by the cavalry department. The owners of 42 mansions were arrested almost at the same time. The screams, pleas, and shouts woke up many people who were sleeping soundly. However, no one dared to go out and check what was going on, because at this time, there were only two possibilities for such a huge commotion. One was that they were attacked by bandits, and the other was that the imperial court was arresting criminals. Regardless of the situation, it was not something that ordinary people could afford to offend. Most of the officials who heard the news were unable to continue sleeping. Everyone had a premonition that something big was about to happen in Chang'an City. Guangxing County, Eastgate. A group of new soldiers were still guarding the city walls. "Brother Ren, do you have time?" "Brother, I have some matters to discuss with you." At this moment, Lu Rengge was leaning against the city wall and dozing off. Speaking of which, this fellow wasn't afraid of falling off the wall in his sleep. At this moment, someone patted him on the shoulder and said, Who? Oh, so it's Brother Wang Lang. Do you need something from me?" Lu Rengge woke up from his sleep and saw that the person who had come was the captain of the 6th platoon, Wang Lang, whom he had wanted to join a few days ago. He immediately perked up and greeted him. Wang Lang nodded and whispered, "Brother Run, can we talk in private?" Seeing his mysterious expression, Lu Rengui's eyes turned. There was no reason for him to refuse. Of course. Brother Wang Lang, follow this one." A few moments later, Lu Rengui led Wang Lang to a corner of the city wall. This place was rather remote, and under normal circumstances, no one would come here. "Brother Wang Lang, what do you need? Speak," Lu Rengui asked as he leaned against the wall. Wang Lang looked around and whispered, "Brother Ren, don't you think that Provincial Governor Pan and Commandant Chui are getting more and more overboard?" Lu Rengui asked curiously. "Brother Wang Lang, what do you mean?" Wang Lang said with a face full of resentment, "Brother Run, don't you know about the battle in the south of the city today? At first, Commandant Chui's army did have the upper hand, but later on, Duke Wei Li Jing and Duke Niu Jinda of Langyi County led an army of 50 to 60,000. Commandant Chui was so scared that he fled in panic. It's fine if he fled, but he actually had the brothers of the 13th and 14th Battalion stay behind to cover his retreat. After the army retreated back to the city, he ordered his men to close the city gates. And the several thousand brothers of the 13th and 14th Battalions were all locked outside the city gates. Do you think Chui Quan is still human? In my opinion, he thinks that the 13th and 14th Battalions are all new recruits like us, so he doesn't care about us. What's even worse is that according to what I know, Chui Quan's men have started to capture some old, weak women and children to guard the South Gate. Because of today's battle, more than half of the new recruits guarding the South Gate were killed or injured. He's short of manpower. This guy is really a beast. In my opinion, if the army outside the city attacks later on, us new recruits will definitely be the first to die. If we're all dead, Chui Quan will definitely capture the citizens in the city and put them on the city walls. Bah! This son of a bitch is really a good-for-nothing. Hey. Brother Wang Lang, keep your voice down. If someone hears you, then we'll be in big trouble. Lu Rengui was overjoyed when he heard this, but he tried to persuade him out of good intentions. After talking for a long time, Wang Lang's heart was already burning with anger. He wanted to smash the pot to smithereens. So what if they hear me? At worst, I'll die. If this continues, I'll die sooner or later. Although my family doesn't live in the city, I have many relatives in the city. If Chui Quan captures my relatives and puts them on the city walls to guard the city one day, how do you think I should face them? How much do they hate me? Lu Ringgui looked at him sympathetically and said, Brother Wang Lang, calm down first. Being angry won't solve the problem. Actually, Chui Quan is just a lackey of the Chui family. The reason why he did so is because the Chui family ordered him to do so. The Chui family is now able to cover the sky with one hand in Guangxin County. Although they can't defeat the army outside the city, but dealing with the citizens below is still easy. Wang Lang said angrily, When I was young, my father told me to study hard. If I can become a hanger-on of the Chui family in the future, then I'll bring glory to my ancestors. Now it seems that I'm lucky that I didn't study hard at that time. Otherwise, if I rely on the Chui family, such a dirty place, I might as well cut my own throat. When Lu Ringgui heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He thought to himself, the Chui family is dirty. Is that the reason why you didn't study hard? Brother Wang Lang, now we're all chess pieces under the Chui family. If they want us dead, what can we do? Lu Ringgui pretended to sigh helplessly and said, Bullshit. Brother Dinyo, I, Wang Lang, respect you as a man. Today, I'll tell you something from the bottom of my heart. If you want to report me after hearing it, then I'll accept it. We're going to die anyway. Instead of dying in the hands of the Imperial Army without knowing why, and ending up with the title of traitor, making our descendants unable to raise their heads, why don't we rebel against the Chui family together? Even if we die, we'll die like a real man. How about it? Brother Dinyo, do you dare to rebel with me? Chapter 1332. Chill. Brother Wang Lang, lower your voice. Even if you want to rebel against the Chui family, you don't have to be so loud. On the East Gate Tower of Guangxin County, Lu Ringgui had a thought, and secretly thought that the time was ripe. He first calmed Wang Lang's emotions, and then whispered, Brother Wang Lang, I won't hide it from you. I, Lu Ringgui, am also hot-blooded and have long disliked the Chui family. But so what? The Chui family is powerful, and they have countless soldiers under their command. With just the two of us, I'm afraid we can't even get close to Chui Quan, Pan Jinyue, Chui Junchuo, and the others. We will be killed immediately. Wang Lang's face lit up. He quickly said, Brother Daniu, who said it's just the two of us. Actually, the brothers in the 6th Squad all want to rebel against the Chui family, just like me. There are many people like us in other camps. As long as there is a hero who can take the lead, I, Wang Lang, can guarantee that there will be thousands of brothers who will be willing to follow him to destroy the Chui family. Lu Ringgui was shocked and said, Oh, Brother Wang Lang, are you serious? Of course. Brother Daniu, you can ask around in other brigades, and you will know. Brother Wang Lang, how many people on your side are willing to rebel against the Chui family? Lu Ringgui suddenly asked tentatively. Wang Lang said confidently, Brother Daniu, I don't dare to say about other brigades, but as long as someone takes the lead to rebel against the Chui family, the 200 brothers in the 6th Squad will definitely follow. According to the military system of the Tang Dynasty, there were 5 brigades under each battalion. Each brigade led 3 groups. Each group led 5 10-man leaders, and each group led 10 men. In other words, a brigade was only allowed to have 150 soldiers, and a battalion had 750 soldiers. But the Chui family had recruited too many new soldiers this time, and there were not many officers who could lead soldiers. So, every battalion and every brigade was overstaffed. For example, the 9th Battalion had 9 brigades, and each brigade had 200 soldiers. Lu Ringgui laughed and said, Good. Brother Wang Lang, since you trust me so much, then I'll tell you the truth today. Actually, I've always been planning to rebel against the Chui family because I can't just watch my subordinates die with that old far Chui Junchuo. I have a plan that can topple the Chui family. Before this, I have contacted the other recruits, including you. There are a total of 8 teams on our side. I want to wait until there are more people before activating this plan. At that time, we will have the opportunity to completely push the Chui family into the abyss. Wang Lang was excited when he heard this. He said, "That's great. That's great. Wang Lang, did not misjudge you. Brother Daniel, what's your plan? Can you tell me about it?" Lu Rengay shook his head and said, "Brother Wang Lang, it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that we don't have enough manpower. When there are more people, Daniel will tell you everything. Then we will send the Chui family to hell." Wang Lang nodded and said, "Good. Brother Daniel, don't worry. I have 2 good friends who are brigades and other battalions. They are also farmers outside the city like me. They have long disliked the Chui family. I will help you contact them. They will definitely be willing to rebel against the Chui family with us." Lu Rengui said happily, "That's great. Brother Wang Lang, after you convince them, let me know. With these 2 brigades, we should have enough people. When we get together, I will tell you the plan. We can definitely overthrow the Chui family in one fell swoop." Brother Daniel, then it's settled. As for my 2 friends, I promise to convince them before noon tomorrow. I will bring them to meet you. Good. The next day, Chang'an City, Imperial Palace. Under Taiji Palace, hundreds of officials were in the morning court. What was different from the past was that there were many officials who came to the morning court with an uneasy heart. This was because they had received news early in the morning that 42 officials had been sent to prison last night. They were from all departments, ranging from the 3rd-ranked officials to the 9th-ranked officials. Since the establishment of the Tang Empire, there had never been a situation where more than 40 officials were arrested at the same time. This meant that there would be a huge earthquake in the Tang Empire's officialdom. However, only those who had a guilty conscience would feel guilty. In the early Tang Dynasty, there were many people in the imperial court who did not have a guilty conscience. Thus, Xiaoyu was speaking frankly in the main hall, reporting to Li Er the expenditure of the imperial court's treasury in the first 3 months of this year. In general, compared to last year, the expenditure of the treasury has increased slightly in the first 3 months of this year. The reason is that His Majesty has rebuilt Shanyu and built the Yellow River Forest Belt. However, these expenses are completely within the range of the imperial court's ability to bear. Li Er listened to Xiao Yu's Tang Empire Treasury report expressionlessly. It was as if the arrest of a large number of officials yesterday had nothing to do with him. After waiting for a long time, Xiao Yu finally finished. Li Er saw that no one came forward to report, so he said, "Last night, I received news that Li Jing and Duan Jishuan defeated the rebel army in Zhengzhou. The Chui clan of Bowling and the Zheng clan of Xingyang had hidden 50,000 secret guards, hundreds of Jianghu experts, and 3,000 men of sacrifice. They fought with Duan Jishuan's Black Armor Army in the wilderness. In the end, except for a few who surrendered, the rest were all annihilated. Li Jing led the 3 armies and fought with the 150,000 soldiers of the Chui clan outside Guangxing County at dusk yesterday. He killed 45,000 soldiers and forced the Chui clan's army into the city. Now, Chui Junchuo is like a turtle in a jar. He can't make any waves anymore." The officials were slightly shocked in their hearts. Firstly, they were surprised that the Chui clan of Qinghe that was said to possess an army of 300,000 was actually so weak. Secondly, most of the officials were unable to figure out why Li Er was able to receive news of victory last night when it was clearly yesterday afternoon. How did he send the news? Even messenger pigeon would not be so fast. However, core officials like Zhangsun Wuji and Fang Xianling knew that when Li Jing led the army to Zhengzhou, he brought along a telegraph. Therefore, they definitely wouldn't have such doubts. "Congratulations, Your Majesty." Although they were confused, they still had to congratulate Li Er for winning the battle. Does our Emperor Li Er not care about his face? The civil and military officials cupped their hands and said in unison. However, Li Er's face did not have a trace of joy from winning the battle. He just kept a cold face and did not say a word. This made the officials feel very strange. Congratulate? You should indeed congratulate us, because over the past few days, We have discovered 42 officials who have colluded with the enemy and betrayed their country. They are eating the salary given by the imperial court, but they're doing the shady business of colluding with the enemy and betraying their country. If not for Baichi intercepting their carrier pigeons flying to Zhengzhou, you would have heard the grievous news of Luoyang being surrounded and about to be captured. Li Er suddenly slammed the table and shouted angrily. The entire hall was echoing with his angry roar. The civil and military officials immediately kept quiet out of fear. None of them dared to breathe loudly. Lu Dui. After a moment of silence in Taiji Palace, Li Er's cold voice came from above. This old official is here. Lu Dui, the Chancellor of the Supreme Court, hurried forward and cupped his hands. Li Er coldly swept his gaze over all the officials in the court. Then he looked at Lu Dui and said, "In a moment, I will hand over all these officials and the intercepted letters to you. I give you 7 days to investigate these officials together with the Ministry of Justice and the Censorate. Find out if they have any accomplices. After 7 days, report to me the results of your investigation. At that time, those who should be killed will be killed, and those who should be exiled will be exiled." Lu Dui's heart trembled. He cupped his hands and said solemnly, "This official obeys the decree." The officials in the court felt a chill in their hearts. They knew that Li Er was going to start a massacre. I would like to remind some people that you are officials of the Tang Empire first, and then people of the aristocratic families. Without the Tang Empire, you are nothing. Court is dismissed. After Li Er said this coldly, he got up and left in a huff. Now that he had almost wiped out 3 of the 5 families, he had the confidence to say these words. The officials looked at each other and sighed. Then they left the hall and went about their own business. Little fishy, little fishy. At noon, in a private house in Wanning Square in the south of Guangxing County, a fierce-looking man took advantage of the fact that no one was around to jump over the wall and come to the backyard. "Big Brother Lu, why are you back?" Little Fishy, who was taking an afternoon nap in the attic, hurried downstairs to welcome him when she heard the shouts below. "Sure, lower your voice. I snuck out during lunchtime. Let's talk inside." Lu Rengue hurriedly whispered. "Oh, okay. Little Fishy replied and led Lu Rengue into the house. Then she said, "Big Brother Lu, you must have not eaten lunch, right? I still have some steamed buns left. Why don't you eat some to fill your stomach?" Lu Rengue waved his hand and said, "There's no time. I can't stay any longer. I came back to look for you today because of an urgent matter. I'll make it short and leave after I'm done." Little Fishy hurriedly sat up straight and said, "Okay, Big Brother Lu, go ahead. I'm listening." Lu Rengue said, "Little Fishy, I've already convinced the captains of 10 teams. They're all willing to join me in the rebellion against Chui. I can mobilize 2,000 troops. I plan to bring these people to kill the soldiers guarding the gate at midnight tonight. Then I'll open the city gates and release the drawbridge to let the army outside the city in. So you have to inform Duke Wei outside the city in advance and let them prepare. Once midnight arrives, we'll work together and take down Guangxing City in one fell swoop. Understand?" Little Fishy said in surprise, "Wow, Big Brother Chui, you're amazing. You can actually gather 2,000 troops from the rebel army." Lu Rengue waved his hand and said, "Okay, let's not talk about this first. Send out what I just said and see if Duke Wei agrees. I'll wait here. Hurry." "Oh, okay. But even if they receive the news, it will probably take a while before they reply. Big Brother Lu, take advantage of this time to eat something. I'll go up and send a telegram now." Little Fishy said, and then went upstairs excitedly. If this plan succeeded, she would be able to escape Guangxing City and return to Chang'an. Lu Rengue sat alone downstairs, thinking about what to do at night. It would take a lot of effort, so he picked up the steamed bun on the table and started eating. Chapter 1333. 2 in 1 chapter. South of Guangxing County, Middle Army Tent. After lunch, Li Jing gathered all the generals together to discuss the plan to break the city. Everyone, His Majesty sent us a letter this morning. First, he asked us to capture all the disciples of Chui family in Bowling and Zheng family in Xinjiang. Second, he asked us to solve the problem of Chui family in Qinghe. Although Chui Junchuo's power is gone, he obviously wants to hide in the city and drag everyone in Guanxing County to die with him. Now, many of the guards on the south gate are the old, weak, women, and children they captured. If we want to attack the city, on one hand, we have to consider the casualties on our side. On the other hand, it's inevitable that we have to kill those innocent people. His Majesty asked us to reduce the casualties of the people as much as possible under the premise of eliminating the rebels. Li Jing, as the general manager of the army, naturally sat on the highest seat. Qin Shubao, Cheng Yaojin, Niu Jinda, Duan Jishuan, Sui Provincial Governor Wang Yu, Bian Provincial Governor Zhao Kai, and Hunan Provincial Governor Ren were kneeling on the left and right. Cheng Yaojin was furious. Humph! This Chui Junchuo is really a bastard. When I, old Cheng, break through the city gates in the future, I'll definitely beat this old thing up and feed him to the dogs. Cheng Yaojin had killed countless people in his life, but he only killed enemies. Old hooligans like Chui Junchuo, who killed civilians, were despised by old Cheng. Qin Qiong's face sank. He thought for a while and said, "If Chui Junchuo really wants to let the people defend the city, then we can't attack the city. His Majesty has always loved the people like his children. We can't fight against those people, right?" Li Jing nodded. Shubao is right. That's why I gathered everyone here today to discuss how to attack the city. First of all, you need to mobilize 20,000 soldiers from other provinces as soon as possible and divide them into two groups. One group will go to Bowling, and the other group will go to Xinjiang. You must capture all the people of Chui family in Bowling and Zheng family in Xinjiang before the news of the victory in Guanxing County spread out. Although Ren Ken was a pacification ambassador, Li Jing was the general manager of the marching army and had Li Er's emperor's sword. All the officials in Hunan province should be under his control. Therefore, when he heard Li Jing's words, Ren Ken quickly stood up and saluted. "Yes, head chief. I, Ren Baqian, will immediately send someone to Qi province to gather the troops." "Yes." Li Jing nodded and said, "Next, everyone, think about how to take down Guan City. We didn't bring much food with us on this expedition. Even if we can mobilize food from the nearby provinces and counties, the imperial court can't afford to drag it on for too long. Therefore, we must think of a foolproof plan as soon as possible." Hearing this, everyone in the tent frowned. Reporting, "Chief Steward, young Master Meng said that he has something important to discuss with you." At this moment, a soldier came in from outside the tent and said carefully, "Usually, outsiders were not allowed to disturb this kind of high-level meeting. However, Li Jing had already said that Meng Wenhao and Iron Egg were special figures in the army. Therefore, even though the guard knew that an important meeting was being held in the tent, he still forced himself to come in and report. Li Jing's heart skipped a beat. He quickly said, "Let him in." "Yes, sir." The guard received the order and left. After a while, Meng Wenhao walked in from outside the tent. Seeing so many people in the tent, he couldn't help but be stunned. Then, his expression became a little hesitant. "Greetings, head chief and generals." Meng Wenhao saluted. Li Jing nodded and said, "Yes. Wenhao, I heard that you have something to ask me. Say it." Meng Wenhao looked at the people around him. He knew Qin Xiong, Cheng Yaojin, Niu Jinda, and Duan Jishuan, but he had never seen Wang Yu and the others. He didn't know if he should tell them the information he had just received. After all, this matter concerned the life and death of many people. Li Jing's eyes were very sharp. How could he not see the hesitation in Meng Wenhao's heart? He smiled and said, "Haha, Wenhao, you don't have to have any misgivings. Everyone in this tent can be trusted. In the battle yesterday, if any of them were missing, the rebel army in the city would definitely have killed their way out of the encirclement." Hearing this, Meng Wenhao looked embarrassed and saluted to the people around him. He said apologetically, I was rude and offended the generals. I hope you can forgive me for being disrespectful." Rinken laughed and said, "Young master, you are so cautious. I guess you have very important information to tell the chief steward, right? It's never wrong to be cautious about such things. We are not unreasonable people. We will definitely not take it to heart." Wang Yu and Zhao Kai nodded in agreement. Seeing this, Meng Wenhao turned around and saluted to Li Jing. He said with a serious face, "Reporting to the chief steward, I just received a telegram from Little Yuer. It said that the Bian province army commander, Lu Rengue, has united 10 new recruits in the city who want to rebel against Shui. They can control 2,000 troops. Lu Rengue plans to bring these new recruits to kill the soldiers at the city gate at midnight tonight. He plans to open the city gate, lower the drawbridge, and lead the army in from outside the city. I wonder what the chief steward and the generals think. They are waiting for my reply." "Oh, there is such a thing?" Li Jing was shocked. They were now worried about how to break through the city gate with the least casualties. In the end, someone sent a pillow to them while they were dozing off. If someone cooperated to open the city gate, then all the problems would be solved. They would not lose too many soldiers, nor would they hurt too many innocent people. Do the generals think that Lu Rengue's plan is feasible? Li Jing looked at everyone and asked in a deep voice. Everyone looked at each other. Qin Xiong stood up and said, "Guangxing County is the governing area of Zhengzhou. The city is strong. If we attack from the front, there will be heavy casualties. If we can really break through from the inside and then cooperate with the outside, it is undoubtedly the best plan to break the city. I think this plan is feasible." Bian Province Governor Zhao Kai smiled and said, "Chief Steward, I also think this plan is feasible." Lu Rengue was the Bian Province Army commander and was his subordinate. At such a critical moment, Lu Rengue directly played the key role of one person to decide the situation. This made him, the Bian Province governor, very proud. Wang Yu curled his lips in annoyance. He thought to himself that Lu Rengue was also a talent. He would see if he could be transferred to Sui Province. He was willing to directly give him the position of commandant. Cheng Yaojin, Niu Jinda, and the others did not have any objections. Seeing this, Li Jing said to Meng Wenhao, "Immediately reply to Lu Rengue. Tell him to open the city gate at midnight tonight and lower the drawbridge. The army outside the city will be prepared to enter the city in advance." "Yes, Chief Steward." Meng Wenhao cupped his fists and left. In the tent, Li Jing immediately began his tactical deployment. "Generals, listen up. Tonight at midnight, organize the troops and follow me into the city. However, each department needs to leave 10,000 troops outside the city to guard the city gates to prevent the rebels in the city from escaping." "Yes, sir." Guangxing County, Wanning Square. Beep, 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 beep. "It's here. It's here. It's finally here." Little Fishy waited for a long time before the telegraph finally rang again. She quickly took a pen and recorded the code. Speaking of which, the distance between the two telegraph machines was now only a city wall. There was no need to go to a very high place to send a telegram to each other. This undoubtedly created a great convenience for the communication inside and outside the city. After a while, Liu received and translated the code. Then, she went downstairs. Lu Rengue, who was downstairs, had already eaten his fill of steamed buns. "How is it? Did Duke Wei agree?" Lu Rengue asked anxiously. Little Fishy smiled sweetly and nodded. "Yes, when Hao just sent a telegram saying that Chief Steward Li and the rest felt that this plan is feasible. Tonight at midnight, the army outside the city will gather at the East Gate. Once you open the gate, the army outside the city will flood in and destroy the Chui family." Good, good, good. Lu Rengue waved his fist excitedly and said, "Okay, I will go back to the east of the city first. If I return late, I will probably take care of things. You and Wei Zwitching must not go out tonight. After all, swords have no eyes in war. Do you understand?" "Yes, yes, I understand. Brother Lu, go quickly." Little Fishy smiled and replied. Lu Ringue clasped his fist and left hurriedly. Iron Egg, are you also going to enter the city with the army tonight? South of Guangxing County, outside the central military tent, Meng Wenhao and Iron Egg, the two special people in the army, were sitting on the celestial lamp to observe the enemy. Meng Wenhao looked at the situation in the city with his binoculars and asked Iron Egg, Yes, it is not easy to get a chance to go to the battlefield. How boring it is to stay in the camp every day. Tonight, we will enter the city with the army. Maybe we can kill a few of the Chui family's dogs. Iron Egg stroked a heavy MO sword and replied softly. Meng Wenhao put down the binoculars and looked at Iron Egg and said, But swords have no eyes in war. General Duan is so good at martial arts, and he was seriously injured yesterday. Tonight, the city will be very chaotic. If you're also injured, Yamacho and his wife will be very worried. Iron Egg shook his head and said, Master said that it is difficult to make progress by practicing martial arts on a daily basis. Only in real combat, and in the face of a big crisis, can there be a big breakthrough. My master was assassinated by Snake King. In a desperate situation, he comprehended Tao and broke through. That was how he became the youngest martial arts grandmaster in the Tang Empire. And my father, in his early years, followed General Qin to fight everywhere. Although he did not get an official position in the end, he is still a great hero in my heart. I want to be a master like my master and a great hero like my father. But how can I become a master if I am locked in a cage every day? How can I become a great hero? So tonight, I must enter the city and see for myself. Meng Wenhao was slightly moved. Everyone had different dreams. He wanted to learn martial arts well and become a useful person in the Tang Empire. He wanted to bring glory to his ancestors and let his father, mother, and sister live a good life. Iron Egg's dream was to become a master and a great hero on the battlefield. As a dream chaser, what reason did he have to stop Iron Egg? In that case, Iron Egg, you can go. I will wait here for your good news. Meng Wenhao said with a complicated expression. Yes, Wenhao, don't worry. After entering the city, I will find little you, and the others. Then, I will let the army take them to a safe place. Iron Egg said with a big laugh. Thank you, Chui Quan. Have you arranged the defense of all the city gates? We can't let anything go wrong. In the provincial governor's mansion, Chui Junchuo sat on the seat of honor and asked Chui Quan. Reporting to Grand Duke, rolling stones and hot oil have been prepared at all the city gates. Once the army outside the city attacks, there will be heavy casualties. Currently, there are 2 commoners who have been conscripted to guard the southern city gate. Along the way, there were 3 rebellions, but nothing else happened. Chui Quan bowed and replied, Oh, there were rebellions? Can they be punished severely? Chui Junchuo's eyes darkened as he asked. Chui Quan hurriedly said, Reporting to Grand Duke, they have all been killed. After the rest of the commoners saw what happened to them, no one dared to cause trouble anymore. Yes, and they should all be killed. These rebellions should be taught a lesson. Otherwise, it will be difficult to manage them. Chui Junchuo nodded. Then his eyes darkened as he said, In the new army, there must be many people who are dissatisfied with our Chui clan. Therefore, you should also send some veterans to watch the city gates and prevent them from slacking off or secretly opening the city gates. Chui Quan nodded and said, Don't worry, Grand Duke. There will always be veterans watching around the new soldiers. Nothing will go wrong. In fact, many people are still loyal to the Chui clan. Yes, that's good. That's good. Let's see how long Li Jing can drag this out. After a long time, won't he have to withdraw his troops? Chui Junchuo was completely relieved when he heard this. However, he didn't know that the current Chui clan was no longer the 5 surnames and 7 sects that everyone looked up to in the past. Especially the recent actions of the Chui clan had already made many commoners hate them. A just cause enjoys more support, while an unjust cause finds little support. The Chui clan was about to pay the price for their recent unjust actions. As night fell, Guangxing County was lit up with thousands of lights. However, in these thousands of lights, there was no warm atmosphere like in the past, because now Guangqing County was no different from a huge cage. Everyone was a prisoner inside. No one knew how long they could live. Although they were fine today, who knows if they would be captured to guard the city walls tomorrow. Brother Wang Lang, is everything ready? Lu Rengue found an opportunity to find Wang Lang, the captain of the 6th Squad, and asked in a low voice, Brother Daniel, don't worry, everything is ready. And tonight, the one who will be on duty in front of the city gates is our adjunct Huang. He will bring his personal guards. Wang Lang replied in a low voice. Lu Rengue frowned and said, Personal guards? It is said that in this personal guards, everyone is good. At night, we have to be careful. We can't let anything go wrong. Understood. Understood. The city gate was quiet again. However, as the saying goes, the tree wants to be quiet, but the wind won't stop. Sometimes, behind the quiet, there was a bigger storm brewing. At 6 o'clock in the evening, a black shadow quietly sneaked into the tower where Adjunct Huang was temporarily staying. Chapter 1334. Huff, Huff. East of Guangqing County, in one of the corner towers of the City Gate Tower, Zhengzhou Chong House's military officer, Huang Cheng, was sleeping soundly on a bed. Although it was his turn to supervise the new army tonight, it was already the middle of the night. How could he not sleep? Besides, in Huang Cheng's opinion, these new recruits were all very timid and could not cause any trouble at all. Therefore, he slept very soundly and peacefully. Tisk, tisk. A black shadow floated by and a cold light flashed. The two soldiers who were dozing off in front of the turret didn't even have time to cry out before they collapsed on the ground. Blood flowed out of their necks like a stream. The black shadow landed in front of the door, then took out a blade and extended it to the gap in the middle of the door. Ta-ta-ta-ta. After a while, the lock behind the door was opened. The black shadow carefully pushed the door open and entered. Looking at the person who was sleeping like a dead pig on the bed, he quickly unsheathed the blade, and a cold light flashed. The head was separated from the body. The black shadow did not stop and immediately flew out. How is it? How is it, Brother Daniel? The black shadow came to a corner of the city gate tower, and Wang Lang quickly went forward to ask. It turned out that the black shadow was Lu Rengue. Huang Cheng is dead. Now that his personal guards are leaderless, we can start the operation now. Lu Rengue smiled and replied, That's great. Then I'll let the brothers start the operation now. Wang Lang said excitedly. Inform the brothers and the other teams to gather immediately and get rid of the personal guards. Let's end this quickly. After a while, all the soldiers on the city gate tower gathered. First, they killed a dozen of Huang Cheng's personal guards on the city gate tower. Then, under Lu Rengue's lead, 2,000 people went down the city gate tower and went straight to the personal guards at the city gate. Who is it? Stop. Which battalion are you from? Why are you not guarding the city up there? Why are you coming down? A soldier at the city gate hurriedly shouted when he saw Lu Rengue leading a large group of people over in an aggressive manner. Hearing the commotion, more than 100 soldiers behind him also became alert. Brother, Adjunct Huang asked me to come down and ask you to go up. He has something to tell you in person, Lu Rengue said as he led his men closer to the city gate. The soldier asked doubtfully, Sir Adjunct, why is he looking for us? Besides, why would I let you guys come down? Before the soldier could finish his words, Lu Rengue had already pulled out his saber and pounced towards him. Kill! Lu Rengue's speed was as fast as lightning. Under his sudden attack, the soldier had no time to dodge, and his throat was instantly slit. After standing still, Lu Rengue let out a low roar. Behind him, more than 2,000 recruits all wielded MO swords and slashed at Huang Cheng's personal guards. It's a rebellion. Someone is going to rebel. Someone from the personal guards immediately shouted. At the east gate, they were not the only group of personal guards. There were also 5,000 veteran soldiers stationed there. Quick, let's end this quickly. Lu Rengue growled and took the lead to rush into the guards. Captain, wait for me. Feng Wu was so anxious that he almost called out Lu Rengui's real identity. Fortunately, he changed his words in time. After that, he also rushed forward with his MO sword. He had to protect Lu Rengui's safety. The two groups of people quickly clashed. Lu Rengui's side had more than 10 times the number of people on the other side. Although the soldiers of the personal guards were generally more skilled, it was still difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. After a short while, the personal guards of nearly 200 people were left standing. Of course, Lu Rengui's side also paid a heavy price. There were more than 300 casualties, which was almost double the number of the enemy. The gap between the recruits and Huang Cheng's personal guards was immediately apparent. "I know you. You're Run Danyu of the 5th Battalion. How dare you rebel against the Chui family? Aren't you afraid of being cut into pieces?" A soldier pointed at Lu Rengui and shouted unwillingly, "Umph. Even if I die, I won't be a lackey of the Chui family and harm the people. Kill. Kill them all. There's not much time left." At this critical moment, Lu Rengui did not waste his breath. He took the lead and rushed towards the soldier. Bang! 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 At this moment, there was a rush of footsteps from afar. Lu Rengui's face changed and said, "Quick, just a little faster. Their reinforcements are here. Kill." As soon as he finished his words, the recruits rushed towards the remaining 20 personal guards and launched the last round of attacks. After a few seconds, all of Huang Cheng's personal guards were killed. Lu Rengui quickly said, "Feng Wu, quick. You take a few people to open the city gate and lower the drawbridge. The rest of you, follow me to stop the rebels." Yes. In the battle just now, Lu Rengui had used his outstanding martial arts skills to conquer the majority of the recruits. At this moment, when they heard his orders, no one objected. Although they knew that with just these recruits, they would definitely not be able to defeat the 5,000 veterans. But they still followed Lu Rengui without hesitation and turned around to face the incoming veterans. "How dare you? Who dares to open the city gates and rebel against their superiors? Attack! Arrest them all." Sure enough, it was the 5,000 veteran soldiers who were stationed at the east side of the city. Lu Rengui took a deep breath. He knew that he could not defeat them, but he had to buy time for Feng Wu. He rolled his eyes and glanced at the torches on the city wall not far away. Many recruits were peeking at them. He shouted loudly, "Brothers who were forced into the camp by the Chui family, listen up. The Chui family not only wants us to help them to defend the city, but they also want the old, weak, women and children to defend the city. Don't you have any relatives or friends in the city? After we die on the city wall, the Chui family will bring your relatives and friends to defend the city for them. If you're still a man, stand out and fight against the Chui family with me. You will die anyway. Do you want to die standing and be remembered forever? Or do you want to die kneeling and be remembered as a disgrace to your descendants? Come, come, fight against the Chui family. Fight against the Chui family. Fight against the Chui family." Lu Rengui's words struck a chord in the hearts of all the recruits. As soon as he said this, the 1,000 or so recruits beside him immediately roared in unison. "Fight against the Chui family. Fight against the Chui family." Very quickly, the recruits who were watching from the city gate tower also started to shout. They had long been dissatisfied with the recent actions of the Chui family. However, they didn't dare to resist, as they didn't have anyone to lead them. Now that someone had raised their arms and shouted, what was there to hesitate about? Even if they had to die, they would rather die standing and be remembered forever. Dong, dong, dong. There was a series of footsteps on the city wall. It was obvious that the recruits were coming down the city wall. "Shut up. Go. Chop this bastard into minced meat." When the leader saw Lu Rengui's glib tongue trying to incite the other recruits to rebel, he quickly pulled out his sword and shouted, "Kill!" More than 5,000 old soldiers rushed forward and engaged in battle with Lu Rengui's 1,000 over recruits. Lu Rengui and his men were inferior in terms of numbers and strength. Naturally, they were forced to retreat. In just a few seconds, more than 10 of them were injured. "Kill! At this moment, more than 500 recruits came down from the city wall. When they saw the battle at the city gate, they rushed up without hesitation. On top of the city wall, more recruits were rushing over. After a few minutes, the city gate was finally pushed open by Feng Wu and his men. At this moment, there were more than 5,000 to 6,000 new recruits. More recruits were coming after hearing the news. On the other hand, the 5,000 old soldiers were surrounded, and nearly 1,000 of them were injured or killed. Do you people not want to live anymore? Rebel, rebel. The provincial governor will not let you go. The Chui family will not let you go either. The old soldier shouted angrily when he saw the city gate being opened. Humph! This is called the righteous get more help while the unjust get little help. The Chui family is selfish and has done some heartless things. They have already lost the support of the people. Their retribution will come soon. Lu Rangu snorted and looked at the old soldier. Quick, quick, lower the drawbridge and let the imperial army come over. Feng Wu, who was at the city gate, quickly shouted to the soldiers around him. Yes, there was an ear-piercing screech, followed by the sound of the other end of the drawbridge falling to the ground. The drawbridge of the city gate was finally lowered. Quick, the city gate is open. Everyone follow me. At this time, there were already more than 100,000 soldiers standing outside the city gate. Cheng Yaojin shouted excitedly when he saw the city gate was open. He held his lance and urged his horse to gallop toward the city gate. Kill! Niu Jinda and Qin Xiong also followed closely behind. Bang! 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 Hundreds of thousands of soldiers swarmed towards the east city gate of Guangqing County. The thousands of old soldiers in front of the city gate wanted to escape when they saw the army entering the city. However, they were blocked by the thousands of new soldiers and were quickly killed by the army of the imperial court that entered the city. Lu Rangue, take these new recruits and follow the army into the city to capture the leader of the rebels. Under Zhao Kai's lead, Qin Xiong saw Lu Ringue and ordered, Yes, sir. General, Chui Junchuo should be in the governor's mansion now. Pan Jinyue should be in the provincial governor's mansion. Lu Ringue cupped his fist and said loudly. The new recruits next to him were dumbfounded. What's going on? Isn't this guy called Rendaniu? Why is he called Lu Ringue? Also, how does he know the guards outside the city? Okay, Lu Ringue, take these people and follow General Cheng to the Chui family to capture Chui, Junchuo, and the others. I'll take them to the provincial governor's mansion. Qin Xiong gave a simple order and led the soldiers into the city. Lu Rangue bowed and shouted, Brothers, it's time to redeem ourselves. As long as we capture Chui Junchuo, we can redeem ourselves. Okay, capture Chui Junchuo. At this time, Lu Rangue's identity was no longer important. To these new recruits, as long as they could redeem themselves and reduce their crime of defecting to the rebels, that would be enough. Hey, let's go. I didn't expect you to incite so many new recruits to go against the Chui family with you. You're quite capable. I old Cheng like you. Cheng Yaojin looked at Lu Ringue with appreciation and then laughed. Chapter 1335. Lu Kanjun, where are Wei's Wuching and Little Fishy now? Are they safe? Cheng Yaojin led an army of 50,000 and headed straight for the Chui family. On the way, Iron Egg found Lu Ringue and asked. Lu Ringue saw that Iron Egg was only 10 years old and was following the army to battle. He couldn't help but feel surprised, so he asked, Little brother, you are? Iron Egg replied as he walked. Everyone calls me Iron Egg. Oh, Meng Wenhao and I were the ones receiving the telegrams you sent out of the city. We are good friends with Little Fishy, so we are very worried about her safety. Lu Rangue suddenly understood and asked, Then you should both be students of Yanhuan College, right? I heard from Miss Li Yu that this telegraph was invented by the Marquis of Yong. I think only his students would use this kind of thing. Iron Egg nodded and said, Yes. We are both my master students. My master is also very interested in you, Lu Kanjun. He hopes that after this war, you can come with me to Chang'an City. When Lu Ringue heard Iron Egg call Li Zixuan master, he thought that all the students of Yanhuan College called Li Zixuan that way, so he didn't make a fuss. However, when he heard the last sentence, his eyes widened and he said, I have never met the Marquis of Yong'an. How'd he know me? Tai Dan thought about it and said, although my master lives in Cloud Mountain, he knows about the world affairs. He's an extraordinary person. He knows that you're brave and resourceful, so he cherishes you. What's so strange about that? This child helped Li Zixuan to show off. Li Zixuan's image in Lu Ringue's mind instantly became tens of thousands of times higher. Living in the mountains, but knowing about the world, wasn't this the work of a god? At this moment, Lu Ringue only thought of Li Zixuan as one of those immortals on earth. He hurriedly cupped his hands respectfully and said, I am indebted to Marquis Yong, and for thinking so highly of me. After this matter is over, I will personally go to Chang and to pay him a visit. Iron Egg turned his head and looked at Pang Feiji behind him. Pang Feiji quickly gave him a thumbs up. With this, old Pang's mission in Zhengzhou was completed. Chicken Bro was full of admiration for Iron Egg. Ahem, Big Brother Lu, where are little you and the rest? Iron Egg coughed lightly and returned to the topic at hand. Oh, they are all in the tunnel of Wanting Workshop. They are very safe. Brother Iron Egg, you don't have to worry. I will take you there after we destroy the Chui family. Great-grandfather, Taigong, something bad has happened. In the Chui residence, the old housekeeper hurriedly ran to Chui Junchuo's bedroom and shouted anxiously. Chui Junchuo, who was sleeping on the couch, was suddenly awakened. He quickly opened his eyes and said, What's the matter? Why are you panicking? Come in and tell me. Yes, great-grandfather. The old housekeeper pushed the door open and entered. At this time, Chui Junchuo had already sat up. The old housekeeper bowed and said, Great-grandfather, something bad has happened. At the east gate, the new soldiers guarding the city mutinied. They killed Adjunct Huang and then opened the gate to let the army in. Great-grandfather, quickly take the young master and escape. What? The army outside the city has entered the city? When Chui Junchuo heard this, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His vision turned black, and he almost fainted. It's over. It's all over. Once the army enters the city, the Chui family will definitely be wiped out. Great-grandfather, great-grandfather, you must escape. We still have 30,000 shadow guards and 5,000 men of sacrifice. Please take the young master and escape. The housekeeper knelt down beside the bed and said anxiously, Yes, escape. The Chui family cannot be destroyed. It's better to leave some hope. Immediately, let Qi Li lead the hall of worship, the men of sacrifice, and the shadow guards to escort the young master out of the city. Chui Junchuo's lifeless eyes suddenly flashed a ray of light, and he quickly ordered, Great-grandfather, what about you? I'm old and I've lived enough. I won't escape. Housekeeper, you've been with me for so many years. Later, take advantage of the chaos and escape. Chui Junchuo sighed. A man's words were kind when he was about to die. At this moment, a rare trace of kindness appeared in his heart. Great-grandfather, I've been with the Chui family all my life. Where can I go? I'm willing to live and die with the Chui family. Chui Junchuo patted the old housekeeper's shoulder and was speechless. General Cheng, the Chui family now has 30,000 shadow guards and many Jianghu experts. General Cheng, please be careful. When they were about to reach the Chui family's residence, Lu Ringue cupped his fists and said to Cheng Yaojin. Cheng Yaojin laughed carelessly and said, Hee, that's good. I've come all the way from Chang into Zhengzhou, and I haven't had enough fun yet. Tonight, I'll use the shadow guards of the Chui family as practice for the little brats below. Hurry up, don't let the Chui family escape. Asterisk bang, bang, bang. Asterisk while they were talking, a large number of soldiers suddenly rushed out of the gate in front of them. In front of the army was a young man wearing a scholar's robe. He was riding on a horse and was urging the people behind him. Hurry up. Now that the guards outside the city are empty, let's go out from the south gate. Cheng Yaojin narrowed his eyes and said, Lu Rong, bring 10,000 men to the Chui family's residence to capture Chui Junchuo. The rest of you, follow me. Don't let them escape. Yes, General. A general behind Cheng Yaojin quickly took the order and left. Cheng Yaojin shouted, "Chase! All of you, chase after them. Don't let the Chui family escape." "Yes, sir." The army started moving. Cheng Yaojin took the lead and rode his horse at the front. Lu Ringe, Iron Egg, Pang Feiji, and the rest quickly followed behind and chased after them. "Not good. There are pursuers. Qili, get your men to stop the pursuers. The rest of you, follow me and escape from the south gate." When Shui Xuanji heard the commotion behind him, he turned around and was immediately shocked. He said to Qili beside him with a panicked expression. Qili frowned. Although he did not want to agree to this difficult task, he thought that Shui Xuanji was now the young leader of the Chui family. If he could really escape, he would benefit a lot in the future. So he braced himself and said to the two people beside him, "Third brother, fourth brother, protect the young master well. I will bring up the rear." Wang Wangjin and Ming Huan cupped their fists and said, "Big brother, you must come back alive." Qili smiled and said, "Don't worry. If I want to escape, no one can stop me." After that, he laughed and led thousands of Chui family shadow guards toward Cheng Yaojin's army. Shui Xuanji, on the other hand, quickly summoned the remaining troops and ran toward the south gate without looking back. "General Cheng, your opponent is us. If you want to pass through this road, you have to pass through us first." Qili led 5,000 shadow guards and blocked the path of Cheng Yaojin's army. Guangqing County was not like Chang'an City. The distance between the streets was small. Naturally, the streets were not as wide as those in Chang'an City. 6 or 7 people standing side by side basically blocked the entire road. Therefore, Qi Li and the others had completely blocked off the path. "Hey, you talk big. Oh, you're a grandmaster. I, Old Cheng, will fight you." Lu Ringue, take 20,000 men and go around the side streets to chase after the Chui family. "Leave these people to me." Cheng Yaojin narrowed his eyes and looked at Qi Li. Suddenly, his eyes burned with the fire of war. But his mind was still clear. He knew that he could not let anyone from the Chui family escape tonight. So he ordered Lu Ringue. This was also a test for Lu Ringue. "Yes, General Cheng." Lu Ringue clasped his fists and left. Shui Xuanji's plan was perfect. He let Qi Li block Cheng Yaojin while he slipped away from the South City Gate. Once he reached the South City Gate, he could recruit the guards near the South City Gate. Wouldn't his strength increase by several times? But sometimes, dreams were full, but reality was harsh. Just as he reached the South City Gate, Shui Xuanji found that it was already chaotic. The recruits at the East City Gate rebelled. How could the South City Gate be spared? The recruits and veterans here were also fighting. In the beginning, the Chui family had recruited 250,000 new soldiers with 50,000 old soldiers, 30,000 shadow guards, and 20,000 government soldiers, as the foundation to expand into a 300,000-strong army. However, their foundation was not solid enough. Moreover, the Chui family's recent actions had really made those new soldiers bitterly disappointed. In addition, Lu Ringue had raised his arms and led a group of people to rebel against the Chui family at the East City Gate. The time bombs that the Chui family had buried finally exploded on this night. Now, in Guangqing County, the recruits who knew that the Imperial Army had entered the city all picked up their weapons and fought with the veterans who usually shouted at them. When Shui Xuanji arrived at the South City Gate, he saw this scene. 50,000 to 60,000 recruits were fighting 5,000 to 6,000 veterans. It was basically 10 against 1, and veterans were dying in pools of blood. Shui Xuanji gritted his teeth and said, "Go to the West City Gate." "Huh, young Master Chui, you can't go anywhere today. Stay here." While Shui Xuanji was hesitating, Lu Ringue arrived with the army. "Go, go, kill them." Shui Xuanji's expression changed, and he said viciously, "Clang." Wang Wangjin and Ming Huan looked at each other, drew their swords, and stabbed at Lu Ringue. They knew that it was impossible for them to fight their way out in this situation. Almost everyone in Guangqing County was House Chui's enemy. They might as well capture Lu Rengui and force the imperial army to retreat and let them out of the city. It was a good plan, but Lu Rengui was someone who had been on the battlefield for a long time. How could he be so weak? He took 2 steps back and then fell on his back. He didn't fall completely, but when he was close to the ground, he put 2 fingers on the ground to support his weight. With this step and fall, he dodged Wang Wangjin and Ming Huan's fatal attack. Go! That's the young master of House Chui. It's a great achievement to capture him. Don't let him get away. Taking the opportunity, Lu Rengui circulated his internal energy and roared. His shout, which was infused with internal energy, not only stirred up the emotions of the soldiers behind him, they all drew their swords and charged at Chui Xuanji. Even the new soldiers who were fighting with the old soldiers at the city gate all looked at Chui Xuanji. Obviously, they wanted to make a contribution and take revenge at the same time. Their current situation was all thanks to House Chui. Kill! Lu Rengui's army of 20,000 charged at Chui Xuanji and his secret guards. Many new soldiers at the city gate also changed their direction of attack and charged at Chui Xuanji. Despicable! Wang Wangjin and Ming Huan's expressions changed. They wanted to go back to help, but Lu Rengui wouldn't let them go. His right hand twirled his saber, and he took the initiative to attack Wang Liangjun and Ming Huan. Colonel Lu, let me help you. Iron Egg was anxious. He raised his Mo sword and joined the battle. Since he started drawing qi into his body last year, he had trained hard for almost a year before entering the body refining realm. Although Wang Wangjin and Ming Huan were both experts in the qi transformation realm, Iron Egg wasn't afraid. He had seen experts in the Grandmaster realm. How could he back down because of 2 small fries in the qi transformation realm? Brother Iron Egg, be careful. These 2 are very strong. Lu Rengui warned as he launched his attack. Colonel Lu, don't worry. I only need to help you hold 1 person back. With a leap, Bruiser arrived in front of Ming Huan. He had chosen Ming Huan because he was relatively weak. He had only just entered the qi transformation realm. Humph! You want to stop me with just you, a brat who's still wet behind the ears? Ming Huan snorted coldly. Then his body moved in a dazzling manner. Suddenly, a long sword stabbed at Iron Egg's chest without warning. It was fine if he didn't attack, but once he attacked, he used a killing move. Clearly, Ming Huan didn't want to waste time on Bruiser. Iron Egg had been by Li Zishuan's side for many years. Although his aptitude wasn't as good as others, he was definitely much more knowledgeable than his peers. After all, he had witnessed several battles between grandmasters. It was very useful for improving his eyesight and combat experience. The moment the long sword was unsheathed, Iron Egg had already reacted. He stabbed his Mo sword into the ground and used his hands to block Ming Huan's killing blow. Humph! Arrogant! Ming Huan was surprised at first, but then he sneered. The long sword quickly stabbed at Iron Egg's chest. Iron Egg first took 2 steps back and dodged the attack. Then he grabbed Ming Huan's wrist and used Tai Chi to push Ming Huan away. Ming Huan staggered and almost fell to the ground. His heart was filled with disbelief. What kind of martial arts was this? Why did he feel like he couldn't use any strength? Big brother, let me borrow your sword. Iron Egg borrowed a sword from a soldier next to him. Then he looked at Ming Huan, his eyes full of eagerness. Sure enough, actual combat was the best way to make one's blood boil and focus their attention. He knew that he couldn't beat Ming Huan, but he wanted to use the Tai Chi sword that Li Zishuan had taught him to hold Ming Huan back. After Lu Rengui finished off Wang Jun, he would be free to deal with Ming Huan. Hey, I didn't expect you to have some skills, but you won't be so lucky next time. Ming Huan's expression was very unsightly. He took a deep breath, and then he vanished on the spot. A moment later, he appeared above Iron Egg, and then he swooped down and stabbed his sword towards the top of Iron Egg's head. Iron Egg's eyes flashed. He lifted the long sword he borrowed and used Tai Chi. His sword was like a magnet, firmly sucking Ming Huan's long sword. His whole body leaned back, forming a very small angle with the ground. Tai Chi Sword Technique 38. Phoenix Wings Spread. Iron Egg's wrist moved slightly and twirled the sword twice. The tyrannical force on Ming Huan's long sword was instantly deflected by Iron Egg, sacrificing oneself to follow others, failing to lead in, pulling 1,000 pounds with 4 tails. This time, Ming Huan didn't dare to underestimate Iron Egg anymore. The two of them tangled together again. Iron Egg relied on his exquisite Tai Chi sword technique to defend with all his might. Ming Huan wanted to finish off Iron Egg as soon as possible. One of them was in a hurry, and the other was slow. It was a bit like the situation when Snake King ambushed Li Zishuan in Chang and City last year. On the other side, Lu Ringgui and Wang Liang's fight had basically come to an end. Because Wang Liang was overcautious and had distracting thoughts, Lu Ringgui found a few openings and left 3 sword wounds on Wang Liang's body. At this time, Wang Liang's arm was injured and his sword technique revealed a big opening. Lu Ringgui seized the opportunity and stabbed Wang Liang's throat. Puchi. Wang Liang didn't have time to change his technique. Lu Ringui's sword slit Wang Liang's throat. Wang Liang clutched his neck and fell to the ground. Third brother. Ming Huan roared and tried his best to rush over, but he was held back by Iron Egg. Lu Ringgui sneered and rushed forward. He and Iron Egg fought Ming Huan together. Ming Huan couldn't even kill Iron Egg, let alone Lu Ringgui, who was even more powerful than him. How could he be a match for Lu Ringgui? In less than 10 rounds, he was defeated. Iron Egg sneakily attacked him and pierced his heart. At the city gate, the Chui family shadow guard were basically wiped out. Chui Xuanji had been captured by Feng Wu and the rest. Lu Ringgui laughed and said, "Let's go. Let's go to the Chui mansion and meet up with General Cheng." As soon as he finished speaking, a loud voice came from behind. "Haha, no need. Everyone in the Chui family has been captured. Since you are done here, follow me to the provincial governor's mansion." It was Cheng Yaojin leading a large group of people to support them. How could Qi Li and his men be a match for Cheng Yaojin? The battle over there ended even faster. As for the Chui mansion, Chui Junchuo had sent all her shadow guards to protect Chui Xuanji. Cheng Yaojin's aide led the troops to the Chui mansion and captured all the Chui family members without any effort. At this point, the Chui family of Qinghe had become history. A 1,000-year-old family was wiped out in one night. Life was unpredictable. How sad. Chapter 1336. All the guards of the Chui family were annihilated. The old soldiers of the Zhichong house in Zhengzhou didn't even need the imperial court's army to act. They were either annihilated by the new soldiers who had a deep grudge against the Chui family or kneeled down and surrendered. All the reactionary forces in Guangxing County were finally wiped out. The clansmen of the Chui family in Qinghe, all the officials and generals in the provincial governor's manor, as well as the county magistrate and registrar of Guangxing County, were all captured and locked up in the prison of the provincial governor's manor. Li Jing directly took over the provincial governor's manor. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers from outside the city entered the city at night. Guangxing County changed hands overnight. Yi Minglei, the position of county magistrate of Guangxing County, will be temporarily taken over by you. Before dawn tomorrow, draft a notice to pacify the people and hand it to Wei Zuocheng for inspection. If there is no mistake, hurry up the printing and post it in the city tomorrow morning. We must let the people see the true face of the Chui family and let them understand that the emperor truly loves the people like his own children. The Chui family is just a hypocritical wolf that wants to kill its master. Although it was already late at night, the provincial governor's manor was still brightly lit. Li Jing sat on the seat of honor and made arrangements for the people after the war. In the early years, he followed Lier to conquer the north and south. Every time he conquered a city, the first thing he did was to pacify the people. After the chaos, there would be great governance. This sentence not only applied to the change of the dynasty, but also to the post-war reconstruction of the city. Those who had just been freed from the chaos of war. Their hearts were restless and restless. If they were not pacified in time, once they were instigated by someone, there would be another turmoil. Li Jing had been on the battlefield for a long time. It was because he was very clear about this that he solemnly told Yi Minglei, "Thank you for your trust, Head Chief. Rest assured, Head Chief, I know the true colors of the Chui family and what they have done in the past few months. Tomorrow's announcement to pacify the people will definitely allow the people to distinguish between good and evil and return their hearts to the imperial court." Yi Minglei didn't expect that this time he would gain a blessing in disguise and become the acting county magistrate of Guangxing County. Although it was only a temporary position, but if he did it well, there was a high possibility that the word temporary would be removed and he would directly become the official county magistrate. He cupped his hands and left after receiving the order. Now, there were only less than 2 hours before dawn. Yi Minglei estimated that he wouldn't be able to sleep tonight, but what did that matter? Right now, his entire body was filled with enthusiasm. Left Minister Wei, the announcement to pacify the people is of great importance. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble you to check on Yi Minglei. After Yi Minglei left, Li Jing looked at Wei Zheng and cupped his hands. It couldn't be helped. After all, Wei Zheng was the best rider here. Otherwise, Li Jing would definitely not be willing to trouble Wei Zheng, because this old troll often liked to cause trouble. Wei Zheng did not shirk away and readily agreed. "This is my duty. How can it be troublesome? Head Chief, you can rest assured." Yi Minglei had stayed with him in the underground tunnel for many days. Strictly speaking, the two of them could be considered friends in adversity. For such a small matter, of course, he wouldn't decline. Li Jing's heart was slightly relieved. He looked at Cheng Yaojin, Qin Xiong, and the rest who were sitting below and said, "This time, everyone has done their best to besiege Guangxing County. When we return to the imperial court, this old man will definitely report to the emperor and reward you according to your merits." Everyone stood up and cupped their hands. "Thank you, Head Chief." Li Jing nodded and said, "It's not early now. Everyone has been working very hard these days. Quickly go and rest. Tomorrow, all the generals must count the casualties and submit the battle report to this old man. This way, this old man can send the news of victory to the emperor." "Yes," everyone responded and cupped their hands to bid farewell. The incident happened suddenly, and it was already 1 o'clock in the morning. There was no place for them to stay in the city. So tonight, they all stayed in the guest rooms of the provincial governor's residence. Who asked Pan Jingyue to have so many rooms in the provincial governor's residence? Wen Hao, at first, I really didn't expect that you would come all the way to Guangxing County to save me. You knew that there was a war here, but you still insisted on coming. Aren't you afraid of accidents? In a garden in the west courtyard of the provincial governor's residence, Little Fish and Meng Wenhao sat on a stone bench. With the faint light from the lantern beside them, they talked about the joy of reunion in a foreign land. Which girl didn't yearn for love? Girls of this age were all infatuated. In order to save her, a young man traveled hundreds of miles without any complaints and came to the dangerous battlefield. How could Little Fish not be moved? How could she not be moved? Meng Wenhao smiled and said, "Little Fish, you are a girl. You're not afraid in the enemy camp. What do I have to be afraid of? Besides, the first person you met in Chong and City was me. If you are in trouble, who will help you if not me?" Hearing this, Liu felt warm in her heart. She didn't know why. She had always been open-minded, but at this moment, she didn't know what to say. After a moment of silence, Little Fish raised her head and rebuked. "Idiot, I came here to take care of the city, to get rid of violence, and to save Left Minister Wei. As long as I can achieve my goal, even if I die, I think it's worth it. After all, I'm just an insignificant person to everyone. But you're different. You have parents and sister. If you have an accident here, what will they do?" Meng Wenhao frowned and said, "Who said you are just an insignificant person? Although you don't have parents, in Yinshan, there is Yamacho who cares about you. Master's wife loves you. Also, Mr. Mai usually takes care of you. How can you be an insignificant person?" After that, Meng Wenhao hesitated for a long time. As if he felt that it was not enough, he added, "And I also care about you. So, you're definitely not an insignificant person. In Chang, and you have friends and elders. When they heard that you had an accident in Guangxing County, everyone was very worried about you." Sometimes, the more ordinary the words, the more touching they were. At this moment, in Little Fish's mind, the scene of Meng Wenhao bravely standing up for her when she encountered bandits in Chang and at the beginning of last year. In less than a year, she, a child without parents, not only established herself in Chang'an, but also made many friends and met many elders who cared about her. Li Zixuan was like her father and brother. In her most difficult time, he took her in and helped her. Ma Zhou was like her teacher. During the time in the editorial department of Tang Daily, she learned a lot of useful things from the talented Ma Zhou. Faubert was like her grandfather, indulging her to do whatever she wanted in the workshop. As for Meng Wenhao, he was her first friend and Zue Hao's best friend. "Little Fish, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" Li was silent for a long time. Meng Wenhao was puzzled. Inadvertently, he caught a glimpse of tears in the corner of Liu's eyes. He quickly went up to her and asked with concern, I'm fine. It's just that a gust of wind blew sand into my eyes." Liu suddenly woke up from her memories. She rubbed her eyes and pretended as if nothing had happened. She said, "Wenhao, it's getting late. You've been fighting with the army for the past few days. It's better for you to rest early." Meng Wenhao felt a little strange, but he didn't know where to start. He could only say, "Okay, Little Fish, you should rest early too. Let's talk tomorrow." "Okay." Little Fish nodded. Meng Wenhao turned around and left. When he was about to reach the corridor under the eaves, Liu suddenly shouted, "Meng Wenhao." Meng Wenhao couldn't help but stop in his tracks. He turned around and heard Liu continue, "Meeting you is the greatest honor in my life. Thank you for coming to save me. You are Little Fish's best friend for life." After that, Little Fish's face suddenly turned red. She hurriedly turned around and ran back to her room. Meng Wenhao was stunned. After a long time, he shook his head and smiled. He then walked into the room. "Let old Chui go. Let the Chui family go. The Chui family are all good people. Let old Chui go. He is a good person. Yes, the current emperor killed his brother and imprisoned his father. It's a treacherous act. He needs a wise leader like old Chui to take over the throne to help the country. Li Jing, old Chui is only helping me to help the country. What's wrong with that? Why do you want to capture him? Let old Chui go." The next day, when the people woke up, they found that Guangxing County had a new master overnight. Most of the people were very happy. After all, when Guangxing County was surrounded 2 days ago, the Chui family had already shown their ugly side. The people all knew that as long as the Chui family was in power, they would very likely be captured and sent to their deaths to defend the city. Thus, the next morning, when the people learned that the imperial army had entered the city and that the Chui family had been destroyed, they all rushed to spread the news. The city could be said to be extraordinarily lively. However, there was a group of people who were filled with righteous indignation when they learned that the Chui family had been destroyed and Chui Junshuo had been captured. They went to the provincial governor's residence together and completely blocked the entrance. They stood in front of the door and loudly protested. These were all Confucian scholars of Guangxing County. They had previously relied on the Chui family, hoping that they could one day enter the court and become officials through the Chui family's connections in the court. Perhaps some of them had recently been fantasizing about helping the Chui family succeed in their rebellion and become heroes of the founding of the country. But now, Li Jing had destroyed the high and mighty Chui family in their hearts. At the same time, he had also extinguished their dreams in their hearts. Thus, these greedy Confucian scholars came to the provincial governor's residence to cause trouble. On the other hand, this also showed that the Zhengzhou Daily had been very successful in brainwashing these people. Li Jing, who had heard the commotion, couldn't help but be furious when he heard the Confucian scholars shouting at the door. He turned his head and said to a guard, "Beat them all away with sticks." Yes. After a while, a group of armored soldiers rushed out of the provincial governor's residence. They held wooden sticks in their hands and rushed toward the crowd. Ouch! My leg! Ouch! My head! Li Jing, how dare you? We are the disciples of the saints. How dare you use weapons? You're going against all the scholars in the world. Indeed, they're incapable rulers and treacherous officials. After you die, you will go down in history in infamy. The leading scholar shouted loudly at the top of his voice. Li Jing, who was about to enter the house, had a change in expression at this moment. He said in a low voice, "Arrest all of them and send them to prison." The Confucian scholars had harmed the country. Li Zishuan's engineering was more useful. Li Jing couldn't help but sigh in his heart when he thought of the crucial role Meng Wenhao and the Iron Egg had played in this war, and then looked at these Confucian scholars who couldn't distinguish between good and evil. Chapter 1337. Chief Steward, there are so many Confucian scholars. Should we arrest them all? In front of the Guangxing provincial governor's office, a guard hesitated when he heard Li Jing say that he wanted to arrest all the Confucian scholars. The great Tang was founded on martial arts. Although it was not like the Song and Ming dynasties, ordinary people still respected scholars. Today, more than 200 Confucian scholars came to the provincial governor's office to cause trouble. Compared to the number of scholars the Chui clan had raised, these were just a drop in the ocean. However, if Li Jing arrested all of these Confucian scholars, it would definitely shake the court and cause all the scholars in the world to attack him. Guangxing County has just been established. We need to calm the people down. Arrest them and interrogate them first. If they're innocent, then let them go. If they are in cahoots with the Chui clan, then no one can save them. So what if they are scholars? Can a scholar violate the law and slander the emperor? Li Jing also felt that this matter was tricky, but for him, the most important thing was to calm the people of Guangxing County. Yes, Chief Steward. The guard cupped his fists and walked to the door. He ordered loudly, "Arrest all these audacious students who slander the emperor and throw them all into prison." You dare? We are the disciples of the saints. We read the books of the saints. A hint of panic flashed in the eyes of the leading scholar. Then he put on a fierce front. Disciples of the saints? You think you are worthy? The benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and faith of the saints? What have you learned? The saints told you to be loyal to the emperor and love the country. Is this what you did? You are just a bunch of selfish and greedy scoundrels in troubled times. Are you worthy of being called disciples of the saints? You are simply ruining the reputation of Confucius. Take them away. At this moment, an old man walked out of the provincial governor's office and scolded the group of Confucian scholars. This is Minister Wei. A Confucian scholar recognized the old man. Who else could this old man be but Wei Zheng? Since the beginning of this year, Wei Zheng had been sent to Hunan province to clean up the government. He had appeared in public many times, so it was not surprising that someone recognized him. When the leading scholar saw that it was Wei Zheng, his face immediately paled. When it came to generals like Li Jing, he could use his glib tongue to accuse Li Jing, but when it came to Wei Zheng, who made a career out of scolding, he was truly terrified. After all, the person in front of him was a super ruthless person who dared to scold Second Emperor Li in front of him. Who could be compared to him? You can't differentiate between good and evil, loyalty and treachery. You've read the books of the sages in vain. Today you even came to the provincial governor's office to mislead the people with your lies, with the intention of inciting the common people to rebel with you. This old man will definitely report this to His Majesty and strip you of your academic status, so that you will never be able to participate in the imperial examinations. The more Wei Zheng spoke, the angrier he became. His last sentence scared the group of Confucian scholars quite a bit. Wei Zhucheng, please calm down. Please don't take away the student status. We were all bewitched by Shui Guangwen and came here to cause trouble. Yeah, Left Minister Wei, please calm down. We were all bewitched by Shui Guangwen. I beg Wei Cheng not to deprive us of our academic status. Wicked people needed to be tamed by wicked people, and scholars naturally needed to be tamed by scholars. Wei Zheng had also read the books of the sages, so he knew what these Confucian scholars cared about the most. He immediately grasped their sore spot, and the group of Confucian scholars began to beg for mercy. The leading Confucian scholar roared in exasperation. "Stop! Nonsense! You're all talking nonsense. You came willingly. What does it have to do with me, Shui Guangwen?" Li Jing frowned and said, "Take this Shui Guangwen down and properly interrogate him about his relationship with the Chui family." Yes. Immediately, two wolf-like soldiers lifted Shui Guangwen up. Chief Steward. Although the rest of the Confucian scholars were bewitched, this shows that they can't distinguish right from wrong and should be punished. Why don't we also capture them and lock them up for a few days as punishment? I will report this to His Majesty. Wei Zheng looked at the rest of the Confucian scholars and frowned, then suggested to Li Jing. Li Jing originally had such a plan. When Wei Zheng said this, he had no more scruples in his heart. He waved his hand and said, "Capture them all and properly interrogate them." Yes. A group of soldiers surrounded the 200 Confucian scholars. Now that the Confucian scholars knew fear, they all knelt down and begged for mercy. At this time, the onlookers burst into cheers. Good. Good capture. A few days ago, it was you people who were talking about how good the Chui family was. In the end, you almost killed all of us in Guancheng County. You lackeys of the Chui family, relying on a few books to help the Chui family confuse us, the people. You are really vicious. You deserve to die. That's right. I beg Left Prime Minister Wei and General Li to make the decision for the people and severely punish these scholars. Back then, the Chui family established the Zhengzhou Daily and ordered the scholars under them to give lectures in the streets, promoting Li Er's brutality and praising the Chui family's benevolence and righteousness. This encouraged the people to actively join the army and support the Chui family. However, in the end, the Chui family used them as stepping stones and scapegoats in their plans for hegemony. So now, not only did the people hate the Chui family, but they also hated these Confucian scholars who helped the tyrant. This was the aspiration of the people. Wei Zheng pursed his lips. He was a little sad, but also a little relieved. He turned around and shouted at the backs of the Confucian scholars who were being escorted away. "This is the aspiration of the people. Do you see it? You bring disaster to the country and the people, but you call yourselves the children of saints. You have let down Confucius and the people of this world. As long as I, Wei Xuanqing, am in this world, I will make sure that you scum will never be able to rise again." After that, he looked at Li Jing and said, "Director Li, please let me handle these Confucian scholars. If there is anything illegal on them, I will not be merciful. Previously, His Majesty asked me to come to Hunan province to clean up the governance. I didn't expect that the Chui family would rebel halfway. Now that the rebellion has been quelled, but the officialdom in Hunan province still needs to be cleaned up in time. So, Director Li, you take the army back to Chang'an first. I will stay here and give Hunan province a bright future." Li Jing was shocked and moved. He couldn't help but respect Wei Zheng because Wei Zheng took the initiative to take on this kind of dirty and tiring work. Obviously, he wanted to take the blame for him. If he were to deal with this matter, it would definitely cause many civil officials in the imperial court to impeach him. Wei Zheng was helping him to reduce the trouble. "In that case, I will have to trouble you, Left Prime Minister Wei." Li Jing cupped his hands and said, "The city has just been taken care of, and the security around Zhengzhou is also worrying. In order to avoid the danger last time, I will leave 5,000 troops for you to use." Wei Zheng didn't refuse because although the Chui family had been destroyed, who knew if there were any remaining forces stirring up trouble in the dark? He cupped his hands and said, "Then I will thank you, Director Li." At noon, after eating lunch, Li Jing called Meng Wenhao over and handed him a letter and said, "Quickly send this news back to Chang'an. After the army replenishes their rations, we will return to the imperial court tomorrow." Since Wei Zhang was willing to stay in Guanxing County to clean up this mess, Li Jing felt that there was no need for him to stay here. In terms of pacifying the people, Wei Zhang was undoubtedly better than him. As such, he planned to return to the imperial court tomorrow morning. Why wait until tomorrow? The main reason was that the army didn't bring much rations to ensure the speed of the march. If they didn't replenish their rations in Guanxing County, the army would probably starve on the way back. Yes, Director. Meng Wenhao took it with both hands and was about to turn around and leave when Li Jing stopped him. Meng Wenhao, wait. Meng Wenhao was confused and didn't know what Li Jing wanted. Li Jing got up and coughed twice. His face flashed with embarrassment. Cough, cough. Meng Wenhao, do you have any intention of making contributions in the military in the future? With your talent in telegraphy, this old man can persuade His Majesty to give you a position in the army. What do you think? Poaching, the dignified military god of Tang, actually wanted to poach someone. Because of Han Yushi, Li Zishuan was Li Jing's junior. But now, Li Jing actually wanted to poach his student. No wonder he had an embarrassed look on his face just now. Meng Wenhao obviously didn't expect Li Jing to say this to him. Hearing this, he was stunned for a moment and then took 2 steps back. He solemnly bowed and replied, Director's military achievements are outstanding and awe-inspiring. It is indeed my honor to be able to serve beside you. But Wenhao's skills were all taught to me by Yamacho. Even if Wenhao wants to go to the military, Wenhao has to get Yamacho's permission. Besides, I only learned a little about Yamacho's engineering. I don't want to leave Yanhuan College now, so I hope you can forgive me. Li Jing's face turned red and he waved his hand. Cough, cough. It's fine. I'm just asking casually. Don't take it seriously. When you return to Yinshan, don't mention this to Yamacho. If Li Zishuan were to find out about this, where would he put his old face? At this moment, Li Jing regretted asking just now. Meng Wenhao couldn't help but laugh in his heart. He didn't expect the invincible military god of Tang, Li Jing, to have such a moment. How rare. Don't worry, Director. I didn't hear anything just now, but I have something to say. I don't know if it's appropriate. Meng Wenhao cupped his hands and said. Li Jing raised his eyebrows and said, Oh, Wenhao, go ahead. Meng Wenhao said, It's actually not difficult for Director to use telegraphy in the military on a large scale. Yamacho promotes engineering so that the students of the academy can apply what they have learned. Yamacho will definitely be very willing to lend you a hand in this matter. Li Jing's eyes lit up. Indeed, it was better to go directly to Li Zishuan, the head of engineering, than to poach people behind their backs. Meng Wenhao saw that Li Jing was silent and deep in thought, so he quietly left. Father, Guancheng has been victorious. Director Li sent a telegram saying that the head of the Chui family, Chui Junshuo, and the governor of Zhengzhou, Pan Jinyue, have been executed. The army will return tomorrow. In Chang, in city, Li Tai had just finished his lunch when Li Air rushed over and reported. Oh, Guancheng County has been conquered so quickly. Quick, let me have a look. Li Air was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth. 2 days ago, he was still worried about how to conquer Guancheng. Today, he received news that Guancheng had been conquered, which really surprised him. Li Tai quickly handed the telegram over. As they weren't in a hurry to march this time, there was plenty of time to send a telegram. Therefore, this telegram described the process of conquering Guancheng County in detail. Li Air read it for a full 15 minutes before he finally finished reading it. He couldn't help but sigh. Good. We didn't hurt the innocent people, and our soldiers didn't suffer too many casualties. This plan of cooperation from the inside and the outside was well done. Lu Ringue, this person is also a talent. He is brave and resourceful. The governor of Bian province sent him to manage the city. It was the right choice. If it weren't for him, Wei Xuanqing would have met with misfortune this time. This way you can actually stay calm in a dangerous situation and help the army communicate with each other. When she and Yi Fashion went to Guancheng County, I was worried that they would ruin my plans, but I didn't expect that in the end, she would become a key figure in the entire war. And this Meng, Wenhao, and Iron Egg, they all contributed greatly to this war. The people around Li Zixuan are really extraordinary. I'm not in Jianghu, but Jianghu is full of legends about me. Now, there is one person who didn't personally go to the battlefield, but the outcome of the war was reversed because of him. This person was Li Zixuan. Whether it was Yi Fashion and Li Yu working together to secretly visit Guancheng, Meng Wenhao, and Iron Egg following the army, or Lu Rengui's successful plan of cooperation from the inside and outside, behind all of these, there was more or less Li Zixuan's shadow. Father, now that Guancheng has been broken, and Chief Steward Li has returned to the capital, there shouldn't be any military matters that need to be communicated by telegram. Therefore, I plan to return to Yanhuang College this afternoon. I hope that Father will allow it. Li Tai cupped his hands and said, to be honest, he was really not used to leaving the academy for so many days. Now that the war was over, he naturally wanted to return to Yunshan as soon as possible. Lier was stunned and said unhappily, "You child, are you so unwilling to accompany father and mother?" "I don't dare. I just saw the importance of engineering in the Tang Empire from this war. I want to learn it as soon as possible so that I can help father build the country and conquer the world in the future." Li Tai quickly came up with a reason to shut Lier's mouth. Lier heard this and said happily, "Ha, good. You are indeed my good son. Then you can go." The next day, in the east of Guancheng County, after the three armies were assembled, Li Jing gave the order and the army set off. Tens of thousands of soldiers moved in order and returned to the capital. "Farewell, General, have a safe journey." Unexpectedly, the people of Guancheng County were waiting on the road that the army had to pass through early in the morning. Both sides of the street were filled with people who heard the news and rushed over. When the army passed by, countless people shouted loudly. Now, the people understood that the Chui family was only using them in the past, not for their own good. If Li Jing didn't lead the army to Guancheng County, the people of Guancheng County might have lost their lives for Chui Junchuo's personal ambition. It was Li Jing's army that saved them. Of course, they would be grateful from the bottom of their hearts. Wenhao, looking at these people, I now feel that the risks I took in the past half a month were worth it. Otherwise, there would definitely be many children who lost their parents because of the war and become orphans like me. Little Yu rode on the horse and walked side by side with Meng Wenhao. Hearing the shouts of the people on both sides of the road, she couldn't help but sigh. Meng Wenhao thought for a while and said, "I also feel that everything I did was worth it. Not only did I save you, but I also saved these people. The Yamacho taught us to have a heart for the world and a life for the people. I did it." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.